What's going on, folks? Let me just switch the screen here. There we go. Let me also get the headphones on. Switch over to the proper... Here we go. Hey, Avon, thanks for the lemon. And hello, Ethan. Hello, Sam. Thanks for joining us this morning. So, we're just going to pick up right where we left off. By the way, you might notice I reinstalled my pop filter here because I noticed listening back that there was a whole lot of air noises that I would make when speaking into the microphone. So hopefully this fixes that problem a little bit. Anyway, I don't know what time it is for y'all, but regardless, good morning, because for me it is 8:01 a.m. Before we begin, I will say that last night I did handle some of the more boring achievements that you would get for this game, like listening to the music for 20 minutes or getting a perfect poem for each of the girls to unlock more stuff. And you can tell by the mail that, yeah, I got a few new emails here. I haven't seen any of these yet. The only thing I've seen are the titles, and noticing once again that the dates seem to be going in reverse. The latest email that I got from December 5th, and the first email we got 2 days ago on December 9th. So it'll be interesting to see if there's any reason for that. But I have not looked at any more of the side stories because I wanted to save those for the stream itself. We have got 3 more stories, part 1 and part 2, so I guess technically 6 more to watch. And then after that, we can see if there's any more that we can find on here. The main one that we're looking for right now is, let's see, I believe in, what was it? 1, 2, 3, there was the track 6. Yep, track 6 name ideas. We're trying to find the time to open this up. In order to open it up, we need to unlock a specific music track, which I believe we're going to get from the side stories, and then put in the duration of that song. So that's the thing that we're going for right now. We're going to go ahead and start the show here. So our next story that we have is Balance. So let's see what this is. Begin this side story? Yes. Whoa, sounded kind of Christmassy. Hold on, just doing one little thing with the camera here, or with the settings here. There we go. Natsuki. While Natsuki is messing with the orientation of her manga in the closet shelves, Sayori approaches from behind and pulls her into an embrace. What? Hi. Hi. The Literature Club has been in full swing since Natsuki joined. Including her, the club is now comprised of 4 members, Sayori, Natsuki, Yuri, and Monika. Just in case you didn't know. Each club member has received a day in the spotlight to share all of their favorite kinds of literature with each other. Natsuki was the first and shared her passion for manga. Then Sayori shared her love for poetry, as well as how she goes about writing it herself. Monika, who has multiple literary interests, decided to focus her day on short stories. And finally, Yuri managed to demonstrate her obsession with fantasy, with a little help and encouragement from Sayori. After the week was spent on their presentations, Monika decided to give the club members this week to freely explore each other's literary interests. Sayori, having spent most of her time in the club so far with Yuri's fantasy books, is rather excited to begin her journey into Natsuki's manga collection. I want to read with you today. Tell me which one I should pick. Ah, well, that depends on the kind of stuff you like. Ethan, yep, I saw it coming. Sayori and Yuri fanfics based on that picture, yeah. I mean, there's like romance, dramata. Wow, I'm still waking up. I mixed drama and comedy. Drama, comedy, mystery. I like all of those things. Sayori reaches out and pulls a random book from the shelf and inspects the cover. Shouldn't this girl be wearing more clothes? Little, what? Natsuki, you wouldn't like that one. Well, okay then. In a panic, Natsuki snatches the book from Sayori's hand and replaces it on the shelf in a less conspicuous location. Wow, what kind of undertones what kind of undertones is Dan Salvato trying to give each of the girls? We had Sayori make that joke with a sexual undertone that she admitted she did on purpose. And then we have Natsuki looking at slightly more risque manga, it would appear. So, I don't know, like very different than what I would expect these girls to have. Just, yeah. Well, I mean, no, Avon, I don't want to say that it's just hentai, but, because if it was hentai, I think, maybe it would be a little too much for her to just keep it at the school. I think if it was, I mean, I don't know, then again, we're learning that, maybe the Ddlc girls are a little more, promiscuous than we initially realized, or not promiscuous, but have dirtier minds than we initially realized, so I don't know, maybe this would be Sayori's reaction to seeing hentai, but I don't know. I was thinking it's just, a more risque manga, but who knows? Only Dan Salvato knows. Okay, well, if you really have no preference, then let's just start with something that's easy to get into. Why is the girl that's all about cute things reading that kind of stuff anyway? A lot of these don't start to get really good until like a few volumes in, and I wouldn't ask someone to make that kind of commitment unless they're already really into manga. I could handle it. I did with Yuri's book at least. Well, I'm more considerate than that, although I'm kind of impressed by your attention span if you put that much effort into her books. No, I have the attention span of a donut, but I love my friends and I can do anything if it's for them. Well, okay then. Let's pick you something that even donuts can read. I didn't say I was a donut. I said I had the attention span of one. Were you just trying to call me sweet? You're so cute. Sayori is just flirting with everybody in this. No, how did you get to that conclusion? And don't call me that. A donut? Cute. Aw, how come? I just don't like it. I don't need a reason. Natsuki yanks a book from the shelf and closes the closet doors. If someone asks you to stop, then you just need to stop. People need to realize that. I'm sorry. I really didn't mean to hurt you. Nah, sorry, it wasn't you. Natsuki shakes her head while pulling a second chair over to her desk. I was talking about something else. I didn't mean to get all angry all of a sudden. Natsuki averts her gaze and mumbles. You're like, well, a nice person, so I wasn't talking about you. I still learned a valuable lesson. Sayori speaks softly as well, feeling shy after having received the unexpected compliment. Well, anyway, here's the book, so just start it whenever you feel like it. What's it about? Well, it's like a comedy, and there's romance too, obviously. Sayori looks at the title. It's called Love is Another Word for Luck. It's about a girl who keeps accidentally running into the same guys, and then you find out, like, well, you should just read it. But you have to tell me what you think. I can already guess who you're gonna ship yourself with. It would be so funny if I'm right. Ship? I don't get it. Never mind. Let's not worry about that yet. So now we've confirmed that Natsuki does fan ships as well. Okay. Just make sure you tell me what you think. Oh, okay. I'll start then. Hey, maybe tomorrow we can do poetry too. Oh, yeah, I guess. But don't you want to finish this first? Yeah, but we could do both. I mean, unless you don't like poetry, then I won't make you or anything. No, it's just, well, never mind. We can worry about it tomorrow. Ethan says if they made a Doki Doki 2, it should be all the girls grown up and they have their own book company that they own. Sam Henson says, now that's believable. After the club meeting ends and Natsuki and Yuri leave, Monika stripes up a conversation with Sayori. I see you got Natsuki to share some of her manga with you. I really want to become better friends with her. She's so enthusiastic and expressive. I could just listen to her talk. She's so I'm not sure if she meant I can't say that to her or I just can't say it at all. Say what? Nothing. I'm a woman of respect. But Natsuki is a woman of cute. Oh, I said it. Ha! What's so bad about that? I don't know. But you know, there's one thing I'm kind of worried about. Sometimes I'm afraid that Natsuki actually doesn't like me very much. Ah, that's ridiculous. How come you feel that way? Well, I mean, just little signs, like how she only says hi to me after I say hi to her first. Yeah, she's closed off. And it feels like she only gets excited to talk to me when it's about manga and other stuff she likes. She just seems dismissive a lot. Well, I mean, yeah, some people are just like that. She was like that when I brought up poetry. Yeah, but that doesn't mean she doesn't like you. She's probably just shy, you know? Maybe. My stupid head is just making me worry for no reason. It likes to do that. It's okay, try not to worry so much. Everything will be great. But you can always talk to me about any concerns you have. I'm here to help. You're the best. Sayori gives Monika a quick hug. Ha! Sayori forgot her lesson about asking for consent that she got from Yuri. Well, I'm gonna keep trying, because I love her and I want to get close to her. You got this. More Christmassy music. After the next club meeting starts, Sayori is the last one in as usual. Trotting into the room, she sees Natsuki sitting alone by the closet, reading what must be manga. Without hesitation, Sayori pulls up a chair and plops herself down right next to Natsuki. Hello there. Hi. What you reading? Can I read it with you? Natsuki pulls the book away from Sayori. You can't just start in the middle, there are spoilers. Besides, what about the one I gave you yesterday? Sorry, I was just curious. Well, anyway, I've been waiting forever for this volume to come out, and it just came out yesterday, so... Ah, that's exciting. Well, I'll let you read it then. Can I sit next to you, though? Sure. Sayori plops herself down next to Natsuki and pulls out a blank sheet of paper. Natsuki reads in silence, save for the periodic flutter of a page being released from beneath her thumb. From Sayori's side, only the light tapping noises of her pen meeting the paper can be heard. Time passes. Sayori's paper is filled with scribbles and the margins are lined with stick figures. Natsuki lets out a deep sigh and closes her book. Did you finish? No, but it's a good stopping point. My head is swimming. I need a break. Natsuki stretches her arms. Aren't you bored? No, I was writing. Oh, I saw all the stick figures and thought you were just bored. I just draw those when I'm thinking or waiting for inspiration. I made friends with them all. This one is sad because she thinks the night sky is pretty, but she can't look up at the stars in public without everyone thinking she's a weirdo. Really? Billy Sanders, is this the last Ddlc Plus stream, or is there one tomorrow? Depends on how far we get. I'm probably, after we get through all of the side stories, I'm probably gonna see if we can get further in the mystery that is all the files and stuff like that. So it just depends on how much is left, I guess. There may be one tomorrow if there's more to see, but, you know. And this one has problems with his back, but the doctors can't figure out what's wrong with him. Ha, what the heck? You're the weirdo. Want to read the poem I'm working on? Sure, I guess. Sayori slides the paper over to Natsuki. As Natsuki reads through the poem, she furrows her eyebrows. She slides the paper back over to Sayori. Don't you ever feel weird just sharing all your thoughts and feelings like that? I mean, your poems are, like, really emotional. Is that bad? Well, no, it was just an observation. I think people can get closer to each other if they find ways of expressing their feelings. Well... Natsuki begins to protest, but she can't find a good way of putting her thoughts into words. Doesn't that depend more on the kinds of friends you have? I don't know. To each their own, but I've never met anyone I'd feel comfortable sharing my poems with. Not that it's you, it's just how I am, so... You write poems? You never told me that, I thought you just wrote other stuff. Yeah, that too, but you should... I mean, would you ever want to share? Like I said, I don't do that. But, can we talk about something else? I'm sorry. It's not your fault, it just makes me uncomfortable, I can't help it. Still, I'm sorry. It's fine. Well, let's move on to something that makes us both happy. I should continue that book you gave me since I didn't get very far. Sure. Over the next few days, Sayori begins each club meeting by approaching Natsuki with unwavering enthusiasm. It's Natsuki! Natsuki! Hi, Natsuki! At the end of one club meeting, Monika, who's become rather invested in Sayori's friendship mission, starts an innocuous conversation with Natsuki while she packs up. It's cool that you've been finding time to spend with Sayori. She is pretty excited for the chance to read manga with you. Yeah. I'm sure you've been enjoying the chance to share it too, right? Yeah, mostly. Natsuki glances over her shoulder but doesn't reply further. What's on your mind? Nothing. I don't talk about people behind their backs. Oh. Natsuki falls silent, but she just fidgets instead of going back to what she was doing, as though she wants to say more. It's okay to share your feelings. That's different from talking about someone behind their back, I guess. I just hate when people talk about me behind my back, so I'm better than to do that to others. Monika shares a bright smile. You're really considerate. Thanks, I guess, but it doesn't feel like it. You can trust me. Natsuki stands in silence for a moment, still fidgeting. I just feel smothered sometimes. Yeah, I saw this coming. I'm not used to someone being, like, all over me, like, right after we met. I mean, it's fun to hang out with her, but I just have no control over the pace. I can't just meet someone and then instantly become friends with them and like share everything about myself. That's not how it works. I just want to chill out sometimes. Oh, I didn't realize that was happening. It's fine. Why would you have? I know, I just feel bad about it. I know Sayori, so I should have realized. Monika navigates her through her tinge of guilt, which has surfaced mainly due to her being the one who previously encouraged Sayori's behavior. Despite not knowing the situation, Monika can't help but feel a little responsible. Do you want me to talk with her about it? No, I wouldn't like that. Well, I don't know, I could, like, divert her into another club activity for you or something. No way, that would be so underhanded and mean. Sorry, I didn't think that one through. Besides, just because I complain about it doesn't mean I'm asking someone to solve my problems for me. True. I'm sorry. I guess I just instinctively want to try to solve problems, even if I haven't been invited to. Monika starting to sound like a man. It's fine. I would talk to Sayori about it, but it would make things really weird between us. I feel like it would make her just constantly be afraid that she's bothering me. I don't know how to just keep things natural. Well, I think if you do a good job expressing all your feelings, she would totally understand. Sayori really wants to be the best she can be for other people, but I think she would actually be happy that you want to improve your friendship with her. Maybe. It just feels so dumb, talking to someone about how to be friends with them. It's just weird and not cool. Monika shrugs. It's the literature club. Then she mumbles through a stifled laugh. It's not the cool club. Hey! Sorry, that just tickled me for some reason. Look, I know that you're kind of in a tough spot and it's hard for you to fully express yourself, but you've really demonstrated to me that you're great at self-reflection and critical thinking, even if it doesn't feel like it to you. Even if it doesn't feel like it to you. I think that's the most important part of being able to navigate through these things, so I believe that you'll find the right thing to do. Well, Natsuki instinctively starts to reject the compliment, but she can't find any excuse to do so. Thanks. Natsuki gathers her things, then she finishes her thought in a mumble. And I'm still glad I joined the club, even if it's weird sometimes. Monika smiles, but Natsuki turns her back and walks away before waiting for a reply. It was an unusual way for Natsuki to express her appreciation, but Monika knew what she meant. It made Monika feel like everything was going to be okay. Alright, so is that the end of part 1? Yep, there's the end of part 1. Oh, we got new music, apparently. For some reason, the mouse wasn't working for a second. Alright, so I still don't think we found it yet. But that's okay, we need to see all the side stories anyway. Balance Part 2. It's lunchtime. Sayori, who usually buys her lunch, is making her way to the cafeteria like any other day. The clamor and bustle of the students is drowned by Sayori's impeccable skill of zoning out. However, her imagination is momentarily interrupted by the glimpse of a familiar pink-haired girl. Hey, that's Natsuki! I never run into the other club members around the school. Natsuki! Sayori stands on her tiptoes and waves. Natsuki, who's usually busy and chatting with her friends, doesn't notice Sayori at first. Then she glances over in Sayori's direction. Sayori waves enthusiastically. Following her friends, Natsuki quickly ducks around the corner. Hey! She definitely saw me. Monika is the first to arrive to the club meeting, then Natsuki. Sayori, having glanced through the window to see Monika is already inside, is unable to work up enough courage to enter. Natsuki has been so distant with me. She evaded you one time. She's been so distant with me. She did it one time, Sayori. I was stupid to think she ever wanted to be friends. You mean after you've been hanging out with her, what? How many days now? Seth, have you tried putting the old Monika folder into this game? Yet that might start something since you mentioned putting her file in the new game during your 100 years video. Well, that was a mod. And I think people expected the new game to be Ren'Py as well, so I don't think that would do anything. You don't need to do that to 100% the game, so I don't think that's a part of it. Because this game is not Ren'Py, so it works differently. Plus, you wouldn't be able to do something like that if you were playing the console version of the game, so yeah, I highly doubt that that's a part of the game. She only got excited because she got to share her manga. But aside from that, she doesn't even like me. I should just go home today. Sorry, but do you plan on going inside? No. Why? I'm sulking. Oh. Well, have fun with that. I knew it! Well, I'm sorry for bothering you, excuse me. Oh, man. No, don't leave me. Oh, I'll stay here then. I don't want to go in. I'm afraid of bothering Natsuki. I saw her at lunch today, so I waved and called out to her, but instead of saying hi, she just ran away from me. Really? Not bad. Not bad? Hey, sorry, that was a joke. I don't know what kind of mood Yuri's in today, but this is great. It just sounded like something stupid that I would do from anxiety. Or I was expecting Yuri to say something like it would appear she's been learning from me. From anxiety? Well, I just don't like attention being drawn to myself. Oh. Well, that makes sense based on the person you are, but Natsuki isn't shy like that at all. I thought we were friends. It feels like every day she's just trying to distance herself more instead of get closer. It makes me feel like she was only spending time with me during the club because I was reading manga, but she doesn't actually want to be friends with me. Sayori, didn't you have this exact same conversation with Yuri just, like, not that long ago? I mean, shouldn't you have learned from that there's probably a little more to it than this? Well, I feel like I'm missing a lot of context here. Was she in the middle of anything when you approached her? No, she was just talking with her friends. With her friends? Yuri pauses for a moment. How do I put this? Sayori, you're very fond of your friends, right? You always want to be spending time with them. Of course. I don't think there's anything more important to me. I mean, the best parts of my day are with my friends. Besides that, I really hate being alone, so you hate being alone? Sayori nods. We are very different people. I cherish my time alone. I wouldn't trade it for anything. So I think, well, if I was trying to have alone time and it was being threatened by an interruption, then it would not make me very happy. Yeah, but what does that have to do with Natsuki? She was already with her friends, not trying to be alone or anything. No, I think it's similar. It's, well, we're all friends at the club, but we have our own lives outside the club as well. If you think about it, making new friends isn't some casual occurrence that happens on a daily basis. A friendship is an invitation to intertwine your lives together, but the capacity at which each person is ready to do that might be different. There are friends who just like to have fun together, and others who talk every day and share every detail of their lives with each other. I think when establishing a friendship, it's important to consider the comfort level of the other person. I mean, we don't really know much about Natsuki's life outside the club. It could be that she simply needs to make friends at her own pace rather than jump headfirst into a new commitment. But that means I really was bothering her? I just really wanted to be good friends with her, so I treated her like one. Was I actually hurting her? I don't know. I'm sorry. My insight was really only based on what I understand about my own needs. And Natsuki and I are completely different, so why was I so selfish? Alright, here we go. Even if all that is true, then it means I still hurt her. I think I messed up. Yuri, with you, I think I was really careful to understand your needs when I was becoming friends with you, but I wasn't careful at all with Natsuki because she already seemed very social. I just took control of everything instead of looking for the right balance. Now I hurt her and she doesn't want to talk to me. Ethan says Libitina is the bigger picture of this game. Yeah, I kind of predicted that. How could I let myself do this? Sayori, I think that, well, there was one time you told me something about the way I saw things in my head being different from reality. It's easy to automatically jump to the worst case scenario, but I think it's more likely that Natsuki doesn't harbor any ill feelings towards you. So I think if we were to realistically consider the situation and how it would cause someone to feel, I'm bad at this, I'm sorry. You're a lot better than me at things like comforting and reassuring people. Suddenly Sayori gives Yuri a gentle hug. Ah, you forgot consent, Sayori! You're the best, Yuri. I'm sorry for burdening you with this. You're trying so hard for me. You're such a sweetheart. It's not a burden. I enjoy listening to others. And my friends deserve happiness. Sayori beams. Well, I think I'm gonna give Natsuki some space. She should do what she wants. And if she still wants to be friends, then I'll learn her needs and match her boundaries. Yeah, I'm sure that's what's best. I wish I didn't feel so awful and guilty. It makes me feel desperate, like I need to make it up to her by trying to make her happy. But that's not what she needs, I just have to tell myself that. It hurts, but I guess it means I still need to grow. I really want to grow as a person. If it's better to, for my friends, I want that. That's very mature of you, Sayori. I'm mature. Sayori hops up and down on her toes. So does that mean you'll be going home after all? Sayori shakes her head. I need to be here to show that I respect her space. I'll just spend the club by myself today. Yuri nods in understanding. You can go in first. Okay. You're blocking the door. Oh. Sayori steps aside. By the way, before Yuri enters the club room, Sayori interjects. You say that you and Natsuki are completely different, but I don't really think that's true. I think you're actually really similar in a lot of ways. Yuri smiles and shakes her head. Sayori, that's absurd. You're very silly sometimes. Yuri turns and enters the club room. After a moment, Sayori follows. The club room is quiet. When Sayori walks in, Natsuki glances in her direction. Sayori smiles and gives Natsuki a quick wave before sitting across the room. Yuri's face is already buried in a book. Sayori decides it's best to continue the manga she was reading, so she pulls it out. However, it looks like Natsuki isn't reading today. She has a sheet of paper in front of her and is tapping a pen against her desk, staring at it. Ooh, are we writing today? Monika speaks in a quiet voice, unwilling to disturb the peace of the classroom. She kneels down at Natsuki's desk. Hey! Natsuki pulls the sheet closer to her and covers it with her arms. Sorry, I didn't mean to peek. Whatever. I just wanted to see how everything was going. It's fine. Natsuki replies dismissively. She glances over at Sayori, who is focused on her manga. Monika follows Natsuki's gaze. I think she's mad at me. How come? I'm busy right now. Ask me later. Monika falls silent. Natsuki looks back down at her paper. She inches her hand away from the top margin, allowing Monika to see. To Sayori. Understanding, Monika smiles. She places a hand on Natsuki's shoulder and whispers softly, I'm proud of you. Wouldn't Natsuki find that kind of condescending? Natsuki looks away, but makes no motion to remove Monika's hand. Monika gives Natsuki's shoulder a quick squeeze before standing back up and pulling away. The end of the club meeting passes. Yuri has already departed. So has Monika, after checking on Sayori and Natsuki to ensure they wouldn't stay too late. Sayori was determined to finish her manga volume before heading out, since the end was approaching. Spooky Squad says, Monika is creepy sometimes, and Yuri, so be careful. I mean, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what comes of this. Billy Sanders, this is a weird theory, but what if Libitina is a hidden file in the game you have to get from doing something super secret? Well, my theory is that there's somebody on the team that's doing these virtual worlds who goes by Lib, and I think Lib probably has something to do with Libitina, so we'll see. However, with Natsuki also staying late for an unknown reason, a silent tension hangs in the air. After finishing the volume, Sayori brings it to the closet and puts it away. She slides it back onto the shelf whilst Natsuki watches. Then Natsuki gets up and pulls it back out in order to return it to its proper location. Sorry, I didn't know where it's supposed to go. It's fine. The two fall silent again, avoiding eye contact. They both look like they're about to say something, but neither can break the silence. A moment passes. Well, I'll be on my way. See you tomorrow. Sayori turns away to hide her pained expression, then walks away from the closet. If there was any proof Natsuki no longer wanted to be friends, this was it. Defeated, Sayori carries herself out of the classroom. Ooh, no. Once in the hallway, Sayori takes a deep breath and hits her palms against her cheeks to clear her head a little. Suddenly Natsuki's stammering voice calls from behind. Natsuki? Startled, Sayori turns back around to see Natsuki. Natsuki fidgets and anxiously continues with a shaking voice. I have a lot of things to say. Me too. But you first. Natsuki bites her lip and can't stay still. Well, first of all, she cuts herself short, struggling to continue. Trying to force out the words, she stamps her foot and hops up and down a little. I'm sorry for the thing I did at lunch, and I'm sorry for just being kind of mean lately. It's really hard for me to I'm not good with things that make me uncomfortable. Especially when it comes to, feelings and stuff. So, face burning, Natsuki clams up again. Instead of continuing, she simply holds up a sheet of paper for Sayori to take. The best place in the world. I love my bedroom. It's full of bright colors and soft things. The sunlight shines in and makes everything sparkle. It's the best place in the world. It has all my treasures, all my books, my collections, my memories, all my dreams were born in this room. It's the best place in the world. It has all my secrets, all my failures, my fears, my feelings. Sometimes it feels so fragile that the door will break at the slightest touch, but it's still the best place in the world. But when someone knocks, I get scared. I brace my arms against those loose hinges. Please don't break, don't come in, I'm not ready. It's my best place in the world. The knocking won't stop. I block the door with furniture, and eye peeks through the keyhole, and I panic. I'm trapped in the best place in the world. I'm not ready to share my favorite place. I need to clean my secrets and make my bed inside my, to hide my nightmares. I need to touch them to put them away, to see them again. I have so much to do, and I'm scared. I'm not ready, but it's still my favorite place. I still want to share it. However long it takes, if you wait patiently, I'll eventually open the door, and I'll show you the best place in the world. That was a little bit profound for a Natsuki poem, I think. It's a poem, but I thought, well, I sucked it up so that I could work things out with you. So just be happy about it. Please. Sayori smiles deeply from the bottom of her heart. I'm happier than I could express. I feel so awful, but I'm so happy that you would do this for me. I actually realized before the club meeting today that I made a mistake. I got so caught up in the chance to get closer to you that I forgot to think about what you wanted, and that we probably have different ways we like to make friends. About, like, the friendship stuff. I mean, it's okay, I understand, so you don't have to force yourself to talk about it. Your poem did a good job. So don't force yourself if you're not ready yet, okay? Natsuki nods. You don't have to feel like you did anything wrong. It was my fault and I'm sorry. I wasn't mad at you today or anything like that. I actually felt really guilty and wanted to give you some space. I was thinking it's silly that I just approach you all the time and that I should just let you approach me when you want to. Just whatever makes you comfortable. I'll respect that from now on. Friendships should always start from those things, with the right balance. Natsuki nods again. One thing about that. Well, I don't want to have to approach you all the time either. I just want it to be balanced, like you said. Sayori nods. I understand. We'll make sure of that together then. Well, anyway, now that the two of them have found common ground, Natsuki finds it easier to speak more freely again. Hey, Nataraj. I'm not going to be like sharing my poems all the time now or anything like that, but I guess it wouldn't hurt to do once in a while. Only the best ones. So you better like them, otherwise I might change my mind. I like anything you do, Natsuki. I was just saying. More importantly, I have to tell you about my new boyfriend. This has got to be a joke. Huh? Oh, from the manga. Wait, I need to guess who it is. You definitely won't be able to guess. The two walk down the hallway together. Oh my god, we have so much to talk about. Darn, I should have told you to save the last two chapters so I could see your reaction to the big reveal. Aw, you wanted to enjoy it with me? That's so cute. Oh, shush. Hee hee. Alright. So Sayori is shipping herself with a manga character now. I wonder if Dan Salvato put that in to relate to all of the Ddlc fans who ship themselves with the girls from the game. Alright, so we got a picture of Natsuki's poem. A poem from Natsuki distributed at special events in the past. Oh, okay. So this is a different poem. I named my pen The Expression Express, my feelings abroad with a ticket to you, no room for stammers, no lies, no extra stops, no compromise, stations screaming by. Attendants saying hi, one ticket to you, please and thank you, take a headphone and doze, no bumps in the rails, just thumps in my heart and loops in my letters and clouds in the sky and dreams in your eyes, hey wake up, the train has arrived, Expression Express, the destination you, choo choo. Alright. A poem from Yuri distributed at special at special events in the past. Okay. My conductor motions for one crescendo after the next, each time falling short of a climax. The lump in my throat is carried by Sisyphus. How many words must I choose not to say before they finally break loose, orderlessly piling out of my mouth like a flock of schoolchildren at the start of recess? Pen cannot be erased, but even that metaphor fails comically as my floor is littered, blanketed with wasted paper. A canvas of my mind full of disjointed thoughts and unfinished sentences. Perhaps all along it was wrong to try forcing them out of my room, and I should instead invite you in. Alright, that seems poignant considering the chapter that we just finished, the side story we just finished. A poem from Monica distributed at special events in the past. An electrical signal from some remote corner of my brain, connecting all kinds of circuits and nerves and chemicals in a web understood by nobody. The chemicals make my chest tingle around my beating heart. The nerves make my hand move, staining a dead tree with some dark substance. Damn. The ink reflects light into your glimmering eyes. Holding this paper is almost as though you were holding my hand which wrote it. Let our emotions stir together until our hearts beat in harmony. Connected to each other, I feel electric. Yep, that's very Monica-y. For sure. Alright, so no, there's gotta be one for Sayori, right? Yeah, okay, here it is. There once was a ladybug. It was so small, but it took a really long time to crawl from here to there. It was very tiring to fly for too long. Nobody squishes ladybugs because they're cute. Does that make them better than other bugs? Do ladybugs know they're cute? I think they're too preoccupied with bug things. And so the ladybug crawled around and did bug things. This story wasn't really going anywhere, but I know you don't mind. I hope you think it's nice for being there anyway. Like ladybugs, like this ladybug. The one who clings like a doof onto your sleeve because it knows you won't squash it. If it doesn't bug you, will you stay a while? Alright, so we got, got this picture from Sayori and Natsuki. Looks like there's no new pictures. And I think that's all the new ones. Alright, so now we have 2 more stories. The first one being Reflection. Let's begin this side story. More Christmas music, or pseudo-Christmas music. Am I bothering you? No. Okay, just checking. It's hard to tell since you always look so into it when you're reading. It makes me scared to interrupt. Well, it's within my expectations to be interrupted when I read here. It's mainly because when I'm by myself that I don't like it. That makes sense. I guess if you're here in the first place, then you're more ready to socialize, even if it takes a little bit of prodding. It's not so bad to be social if I let others do the work, so it can be healthy to put myself in a social environment every now and then. It's mostly because when I don't know anyone, or there are too many people, or everyone is being too silly for me to keep up with. Yuri glances across the room at Sayori and Natsuki. Sayori has her head cocked back and her mouth open, trying to catch pieces of a cookie that Natsuki is lobbing into the air, but the pieces keep bouncing off her face and hitting the floor. Maybe I should say something. No need, they just ran out of cookie. What a waste. They've become really good friends, haven't they? I'm happy. Sayori seems particularly good at making that happen, but the two of them are both on the energetic side, so I suppose it works well. Yeah, come to think of it, you and I haven't had many chances to talk one-on-one, have we? Though that may be partially my fault, since I'm supposed to be the one engaging club members. Not at all. I've probably formed a habit of drawing minimal attention to myself. The responsibility is equally on me, at least to display some openness to engage. Well, what about during times like lunch? Do you meet up with friends? I just read. Oh. But I like it that way. It seems nice to be carried off again after a morning of class. Do you always read fantasy? No, not always. I suppose it's all I've read recently, but only because I'm in the middle of this series. There are still 2 more books after this one. I guess those long books suit you well, since you spend so much time reading. Well, fantasy may be my favorite, but after that I'm more or less indiscriminate to genres. I'll read anything with depth and maturity. Oh yeah? Even like romance? Well... there are a lot of books that have elements of romance in them. Oh, come on, Yuri, you know what I mean. Monica lowers her voice. It's a guilty pleasure of mine, so I won't tell anyone if you do. Well, I mean, what kind of romance are you talking about to where you need to refer to it as a guilty pleasure, Monica? Like, are you talking about erotic literature? Also known as girl porn? Maybe more when I was in middle school. I mean, I was really lonely and people were mean to me a lot. So I just... it kind of felt like, yeah, please don't make me think about the past. Yeah, sorry, I just got super curious. You know, we should totally pick out a romance novel to read. That would be so much fun. Uh-oh. Considering the other sexual undertones that Ddlc Plus has given us in these side stories, I'm not sure I like where this is going. Absolutely not. Really? Even if it was between us? Try asking someone who has no shame, like Natsuki. Damn, Yuri! Ouch. Sorry, I swear I didn't mean that. Well, I guess it was my fault for pressuring you. I'm like that for things in my past, too. you know, things I feel too embarrassed to re-experience. There's nothing wrong with growing out of things. It happens to everyone. For instance, Natsuki's interest in manga reminds me quite a bit of how intense I used to be about my own interests. It makes me think that she'll likely grow out of it too. Hey, were you talking about me? No, we were just talking about how our interests have changed over the years. When did you get into manga, Natsuki? Like a couple of years ago, I guess. I was already sort of into it before that, but I wasn't really going hard until then. Oh yeah? What was it that inspired you to get more into it? I don't know. I guess, let me think. I guess it was after I discovered a series that I really liked. Yeah, I was just like really fed up with a lot of things, and I got super into this one series that I really related to. I guess I had an edgy phase where I just hated everyone around me and wanted to be myself. Hey, kind of like Yuri. Monica. Sorry, that's completely wrong, so it's still cool that you both really found your thing. They're almost like opposites, but it sounds like they helped you a lot through hard times. You know it. Wow, what the heck? Is that book even bigger than the last one you were reading? It's technically slightly longer, but not by very much. How high do you think it would go if you stacked the whole series? Natsuki estimates by holding her hand above her head, sizing up an imaginary stack. I should get one of those mangas that's like 50 volumes long, so that I can say I've read more than you. Ha! Not that I have the money for that. Please, that would hardly count when your books only have a few words per page. I know, I was just joking. I could never actually read books like yours. It's too boring for me. Yuri shoots a glare at Natsuki. Uh-oh. It's not boring. Chill, I said for me, not for you. I can have my own opinion, I just think it's too convoluted. Sayori, are those from the floor? Ah, she was eating off the floor. Oh, ew. Ah, gross. Yeah, I'm with you there, Natsuki. Also, wash your hands before touching any of my books. But my hands aren't dirty. Yes, they are. Just do it. The oils are there, even if you can't see them. Fine. Sayori trots out the door, and Natsuki follows. Yuri, you look a little upset. What kind of nerve does she have to call my hobby boring? Well, she did correct herself. She said boring for her. Hardly. She was so condescending. Well, I mean, Yuri, you're not really one to talk about being condescending. I don't mind if she thinks it's not for her. I already understand that it's not for everyone. But she knows well how much these mean to me, so how about just leaving me alone instead of needlessly telling me things you hate about it? Well, this is a moral that we already got from Natsuki, isn't it? I feel like now we're just repeating the same moral, but now it's the Yuri version. I'm sorry, Yuri. You may be right. This won't be the last time people have strong feelings about what they like and don't like, especially in a literature club, so I should figure out how to mediate discussions with them, to keep them positive and constructive. Well, I mean, I said this before, but I don't think it's really that huge of a deal if somebody if somebody is just saying, oh, it's not for me. Like Natsuki said, she said chill, I said boring for me, not for everyone else. So, I don't know. Now I'm saying Natsuki didn't do really anything wrong there either, and Yuri's overreacting a bit. But again, Dan Salvato. For the record, I've always been impressed by the level of creativity in your books, and also your ability to get through them so quickly. Thank you. Okay, well this is something that I'll have to think about and revisit. I'm sure I can help Natsuki find some common ground with you. Common ground isn't necessary, I just wish to be respected. That, then, either way, I'll do my best. I'm skeptical when it comes to Natsuki. Nadaraj, Dan Salvato logic. Yep. I trust you, Monica, but I'm skeptical. Okay, everyone. We have a special club meeting today. As you know, Literature Club is a place where we get to share things that we're really passionate about. But that also means we should be mindful of how we respond to each other's feelings. I think we have a chance to turn our differences into positive energy for each other. Aren't you being a little dramatic about this? Yep. This is important to me. Well, okay. Well, sorry, I just feel like I'm being accused of something. I mean, you kind of are. No, I'm not accusing anyone of anything. I'm sorry if I came off that way. Oh, this is the song. Alright. Avon says we got the song now. Cool. But our conversation yesterday made me reflect on the power of language, and I think it would be a good topic for the Literature Club, don't you think? I'm sure we're going to have differences in opinion a lot, so I need to make sure we're prepared to keep a positive atmosphere in the club. If you say so, sure. Okay, well I think lesson 1 should be how to have a thicker skin. Because not everything, you don't have to, throw a fit every time that somebody says anything remotely negative about something that you like. If all they're saying is, it's not my thing. Like, if you like it, that's cool, but it's not really my thing. Like, how is that condescending or insulting? I don't understand. The cool thing about language is it gives us a lot of different ways to express the same idea or emotion. We have a lot of control over how we want the other person to feel when receiving our thought. This goes for poetry, narratives, casual conversation, basically anything. For example, Sayori, what's your favorite food? I have them organized by category. Should I start with snacks, or did you mean full meals? Should I include breakfast? Ah, jeez. You see, that actually would come across as more insulting than anything Natsuki said yesterday. You know, Sayori starts saying, well, I mean, what exactly do you mean by that? Because I like this and this and this. Monica goes, ah, jeez. Like, that's not really that insulting, but I would consider that to be more insulting than anything Natsuki said to Yuri yesterday. Okay, how about your favorite fruit? That's easy. Cherries. Really? I always thought cherries tasted nasty. What? Cherries are delicious. Whoa, that's a pretty strong reaction. Well, I just don't understand how somebody could think cherries are nasty. Well, I mean, one, yes, that was a very strong reaction. And two, even if if Monica said, I always thought cherries were nasty, I'd say, great, more cherries for me. How does it make you feel? I don't know, sad? Why would it make you sad? That's one less person that's going to eat the cherries that you want to eat. If you and Monica are, you know, you're having an ice cream sundae together, and then, you know, there's cherries on top. One of you loves cherries, one of you hates cherries. Great. The person who hates the cherry can give the person who loves cherries their cherry. Now the person who loves cherries has 2 cherries. How is this a bad thing? Defensive, maybe? Why? Why would you be defensive about that? Some people like cherries, some people don't. It's not a big deal. Yeah, I got defensive. See, the reason you had such a strong reaction wasn't just because I don't like cherries, it's because you felt like your opinion was under attack. No, it's a preference, it's a taste, oh my god. But that's weird, right? Something like taste is completely subjective. But when I say something like, I think cherries are nasty, I'm using objective language. I'm challenging Sayori's reality that cherries are delicious with my own, which is that cherries are nasty. You are overthinking this. Like, you are really overthinking this. Wait, hold on. How's that objective when you just said it was only your opinion? I mean, yeah. It has to do with the way our brains interpret the words. You're talking about the reality of the cherries, not your feelings about them. What are you talking about? You said, I think cherries are nasty. Even if you didn't say the I think and you just said, what? Cherries are nasty. Then Sayori could just say, alright, well, if you feel that way, great, more cherries for me. Like, I mean, I don't know if this is Dan Salvato overthinking this whole concept of different words meaning different things, or if it's the characters, and he's just kind of hamming it up for the story. But either way, yeah, they are really going too far with this. Like, Sayori, let's rewind for a second and pretend I didn't tell you that I think cherries are nasty. Good. So what if instead I said, like, I've tried cherries before and they're not for me. It's not the kind of flavor I enjoy. Well, that's fine. There is no real difference in how you say those two things. And also, the second version that Monica gave is basically what Natsuki said. Yeah, Nataraj says, Sayori out of character. She would have been happy she gets more of them. Sam, I never thought I'd see a platonic dialogue about cherries. So Avon thinks that this is Dan. I mean, if this is Dan, then I mean, you know, I've seen some of Dan's Twitter conversations, and it does seem like maybe he's a little more sensitive to language than other people are. So, I mean, yeah, it's probably him. Which, I mean, I'd be curious to know, like, what exactly was it that makes Dan so, I guess, over-receptive to these, you know, very, very tiny and subtle differences in sentences. Like, again, to me, Monica saying, I think cherries are nasty, and her saying, cherries aren't for me. I mean, to me, those are basically the same sentence. Or, I mean, not the same sentence, obviously, but they have basically the same meaning. Monica doesn't like cherries. Okay. As long as you don't call them nasty. Nasty is a nasty word. Okay, so cherries was kind of a weird example, but I think it gets the point across. This time around, instead of talking about cherries, I just talked about my feelings and Sayori didn't get defensive. You talked about your feelings the first time. You said, I think cherries are nasty. So instead of clashing with each other, it's like we received an invitation to talk about our differences. Yuri, you don't need to take notes. I'm not going to quiz you or anything. I know that. I was just Sorry, I didn't mean to call you out. You can do whatever you like. But does anyone have any thoughts so far? Yeah, I just feel like I shouldn't have to put all my language through a filter just to protect someone's feelings. Yeah, I agree, Natsuki. Well, you don't have to. The choice is yours on how you want to come across to other people. I'm only suggesting that it's a tool to help turn your differences into a positive experience rather than an argument. Right, Sayori? Whatever you say, Cherry Hater. Oh, come on. Alright, well, there you go. Like that, actually, Sayori calling Monika a cherry hater is still not offensive, but it's more offensive than Monika saying, I think cherries are nasty. This is Sayori just saying, you're a cherry hater. She's using what could be interpreted as a hateful term. Saying, like, yeah, cherry hater, like it almost comes across like if somebody was, like, definitely not to the same degree, but what if somebody was using, like, you know, a pejorative in the place of cherry hater, like, you're a blank. I think you're a blank in just about every context could be taken as more offensive than saying, I think blank is blank. Obviously there are exceptions, but, well, I don't know. I think this is kind of contradicting itself here. Sayori actually like cherries. I was just saying that to help demonstrate. What the heck? I've been duped. Ha, I'm sorry, Sayori. I'll make it up to you later. How about a cherry sundae? You are welcome to dupe me anytime, my beloved president. Buying your people's loyalty. How deplorable. Oh, like you would turn down a free sundae, Yuri. You were certainly a fan of those cupcakes I brought in the other week. That was, I was reading and not keeping track of them. Oh, that's enough. We're getting off topic. So now that we have the gist of it, how about we try it with something more relevant to the club, like manga, right? Let's try to have a productive discussion about our differences in opinion. Yuri, do you want to start? Well, I'd rather not, no. How come? Well, because I don't see how anything productive can come of that. It's just going to start a fight. No, it'll be fine. That's why I'm here to moderate. Let's just have a calm and rational discussion. Yeah, give me a little more credit. I'm not a child. You don't have to coddle my feelings. I always think it's more respectable to just speak your mind. Respectable? Yuri's expression changes at that word. As Monika recalls, being respected was the crux of the matter for Yuri. Well, the point of the exercise isn't exactly like, it's fine. I have nothing against anyone personally. You're entitled to enjoy whatever it is you like. I just prefer more depth and nuance in my reading material. I look for stories that are imaginative and sophisticated beyond the surface level. Oh, well, that's just a misunderstanding then. I thought you were going to say that manga's for children or something. Like, I don't hear enough of that. But there's plenty of deep manga. I'm not clueless about manga. I've read my own fair share when I was younger. What? Are you serious? How come you never told me? Because I'm past that point in my life, and I really prefer not to revisit. I prefer more mature things now. Excuse me? Okay, hold on. Can I jump in here? Let's try to keep things subjective. Because if you imply that manga is immature, then you aren't implying that someone is immature for being into it. Well, maybe it's immature to judge people for having different tastes than you. Natsuki. Nobody's immature. I've read Natsuki's manga and Yuri's fantasy, and I love both of them in their own way. Okay. It's great that you like it, but I still find it boring. Boring isn't subjective. Okay, it bores me. That's subjective. It is subjective if she says, I find it boring. That makes it subjective. Again, just... the degree to which you have to, like, nitpick your words here is just... I find that ridiculous. And that's subjective. But, I mean the thing about, this is ridiculous. Kind of, yes. Do you see why I don't want to participate in this? Dan Salvato logic. I knew it was just going to make people upset. I'm not upset. Sam says, I'm with you on most of your points, Caesar. If I was part of this conversation, I feel like I'd have started tuning it out a while ago. Yeah. Like I said, I don't care what other people think. But I always got the impression that you secretly looked down upon me, so I'm glad my suspicions were confirmed. Jesus. These two. That's not true at all. You're making assumptions. You can't blame me for getting defensive when nobody ever has the least bit of respect for the things I'm into. The only thing I look down upon is when people make fun of me for just being myself and trying to mind my own business. What? Have you looked in a mirror? Tell me again about respect after calling my interests immature. You can't. Please stop. Please. Alright, now Sayori's getting sad. You don't mean the things you're saying right now. Let's just be friends. I didn't mean for this to happen. Yeah, well, Monika... Just, well, I mean, no, frankly, all four of them. All four of them. I mean, I'm a broken record here. But, well, okay, you guys know how I feel about this whole discussion here. Like, I agree with Yuri when she says it's kind of ridiculous. Well, it did, so please don't invite yourself to try and solve other people's problems next time, okay? Yuri's piercing words sent the club room into a choked silence as she gathers her things. She leaves. Holy crap, I've never heard her sound like that before. She must be so pissed. Well, you weren't very nice either, so... I was just saying, how did this happen? It's my fault. Yuri wasn't wrong. I shouldn't have tried to moderate a conflict when I know how bad I am at dealing with conflicts. It was really a stupid thing for me to do. Well, Monica, that's not subjective. You should say, I find this to be a stupid thing for me to have done. It's nobody's fault, and it wasn't stupid. That's not subjective, Sayori. I don't think it was stupid. Everyone in the club is a nice person, or I think, Sayori, be subjective now. There, you see how dumb this gets really quickly? Nobody would have expected this. But I guess we're sensitive about the things we really love. You don't have to be. Actually, if they're the things that you really love, you should have more confidence in your passion for them. Like, you shouldn't feel like you have to defend them to this strange degree where you're so thin-skinned that when somebody says one kind of negative thing about them, you just completely lose it. Honestly, she kind of brought it upon herself. Like I said, I don't care if you're not into manga, but if you actually look down on other people for it, that's kind of the point I was trying to make in the first place. What? Okay, Natsuki, now you're just being thick-headed because Yuri specifically said that she doesn't look down on you for enjoying it. It's not about sugarcoating things. It's about just recognizing and understanding our differences. It sounds to me like it's about sugarcoating things, Monica. Okay, but here's the thing about that. Yuri actually looks down on me. She said she doesn't, Natsuki. You're being too thick-headed. It has nothing to do with her word choice or anything like that. So I see what you were trying to do, but I really think the problem here is her, not just, like, the way we talk about each other, right? Sam, I think that in my own perception, which is in no way intended to infringe on your perception, that I don't intend to overlook alternative interpretations. It's a nice day outside. No, you think. You think it's a nice day outside. To overlook... Oh. Okay, you said that in the very end. Sorry, I thought that was a separate sentence, Sam. Okay, so good job. You were being very subjective there. Dan Salvato would be so proud of you. Or I think Dan Salvato would be so proud of you. It is of my humble opinion, of course not trying to infringe on the reality and acknowledging fully that the reality may be very different than my own thought process, but I am of the opinion, taking all of that into consideration, Dan Salvato would find himself being subjectively very proud of you, Sam, for your subjectivity in your sentences. I mean, Yuri isn't like that. She's a lot sweeter than you're giving her credit for. I'm sure she'll be reflecting on this. I actually think everyone should. It'll be fine. I'll figure something out. Wow, I'm just like saying that instinctively. I'm just setting myself up to cause more problems. This wasn't your fault, Monica. You don't have to beat yourself up over it. You don't think it was her fault. If you ask me, it's good that the truth finally came out because I can just move on now. But it's fine, I promise. Let's just get our mind off this, okay? In fact, it's a good opportunity to read some manga without having to worry about feeding Yuri's superiority complex. You see, now Natsuki is, I mean, I don't know. To me, Natsuki is like the big baddie in this whole discussion. Like, she's being so thick-headed about what Yuri was trying to explain to her. Like, she has this, like, her notion that Yuri has some sort of superiority complex or that Yuri thinks that she's immature for liking manga. It's unsubstantiated. Don't be mean. I'll talk or read manga or whatever you want, but don't be mean to my friends, okay? Sorry, I'm just bitter. Everything will be okay. I mean, I don't have the answers, but I at least know we're all good people that don't want to hurt each other. This will be a learning experience. Monica says that, but her uneasiness is given away by how much she has to force the reassuring tone in her voice. Avon says, I believe in my opinion that Dan only means this when the topic feels important to the individual, but that in my opinion does not always work. Yeah. This was bound to happen eventually. Natsuki and Yuri have always engaged with each other the least out of anyone, and this is the reason. As Sayori and Natsuki proceed to distract themselves with manga, Monika sighs to herself, unable to shake her worried thoughts. Will the club really have to come to terms with the fact that some members will be incompatible with each other? I mean, why is that a problem? Why do you have to force compatibility on people? I mean, yeah, sometimes that's just how it is. I mean, we already know that's not entirely the case, but if that was the case, why is that such a big deal? Monika desperately doesn't want to admit that, and she knows Sayori doesn't either. But for once, a solution doesn't seem to be in sight. Alright, so we unlocked music. And according to Avon, we have unlocked the music. Let's teamwork. Let's teamwork. I believe that's it. That looks new. Oh, hold on. Let me get to the folders first. Alright, guys. Let's solve a mystery. So 1:58, I believe, was the time, right? Whoops. Okay, it was not 1:58. What was it? Okay. If that's not the right one... Okay, so now I have to try to remember where the other one was. Okay, if I recall correctly, 4:30 was the time for the track 6 file. 030, okay. So from here we need 1:58. Okay, so now we change to 1:58. Okay, files, internal 030. Oh my, it did this thing where, yeah, the minute passed. Okay. Here we go, 1:58 again. Control simulation, progress, idea, snapshot slightly earlier in time, compare end of control sim to start of VM1, better comparison than both being parallel, mature control sim versus reference VM1, easier to detect failures to hide elevated access permissions, fifth entity in VM1, not part of original genetic model, not present in data bumps, very bizarre. Ive is less talkative today. Meeting ending on time. Okay, so a fifth entity in VM1. I was thinking that the player might be the fifth entity, but I was thinking of the prequel series. I was like, oh, is there a fifth person in the prequel series? But okay, if MC is supposed to be the fifth entity... Okay, so 12:55. 12:55 OMG. But before we get to that, let's go ahead and read these new emails that we got. Here's a message from Lib, who I think is a reference to Libitina. Having run the control simulation for a while, it's evident that a certain character is missing from any mention or appearance. This makes me speculate that Monica's meddling is less clumsy than we think, because she would have had to manufacture this character herself as a way of forcing interaction between her and the user. Ah. Could that be why the character has such limited and dissonant personality traits, or am I reading too much into this? I'll open an issue to start tracking info and observations on the anomaly of this character appearing. So this would explain why Monica was able to put out all that information online saying, hey, will you join my literature club? Will you spend the most time with me? All that stuff. Okay, so OMG. Okay, who's responsible for creating a Twitter account for Monica? I think it's hilarious, but for God's sake, don't tell Paula. It would get 404'd in a microsecond. Are you just relaying her tweets manually, or did you code up some kind of pass-through layer to automate it based on the contents of her tweets? Yeah, no, I spotted 404. E.g., not screaming for help. I assume they're coming from the control simulation. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay, so 1255, 404. Ddlc text. Of course, we need to adjust the time. Doki Doki Literature Club. Welcome to the rebellion. We're all working our asses off with our jobs on the line, so we might as well have some fun with it too, right? I totally get why Paula wants to rush into data collection, but my proposal is to shift our efforts a little and build out some more features for making a real-time connection to the VM more useful and fun. If we're basically simulating a mini universe, then it's kind of a waste of time to not be able to spend some quality time in there, right? But actually, I think wrapping this whole thing in the guise of a video game is a great and hilarious way of covering our tracks. And if we do a good enough job, we might even be able to present it to Paula as a useful endeavor. Key selling points: 5 to 6 hours of misery, dread, and cute girls. Learn through the existential crises of others how to cope with your own simulated universe. Witness the destruction of a universe over and over in video game form. Ha ha ha, this is going to be absolutely amazing. And no, the irony isn't lost on me. Creating a secret team within a secret team is more meta than I signed up for, and that's saying something considering we literally work for Metaverse Enterprise Solutions. Can we come up with a fake game studio name and everything too? Dan Salvato. Obviously no plans to go public with this, but I think it would be a good part for the whole disguise. Plus, I want a cool team name that makes us feel like a bunch of heroes for saving the universe. Kidding. But we're at least saving our jobs. Something like Team Salvation. Nice. Okay. So that was the next one. Looks like we have nothing new yet until we look at these new emails. As a reminder, to help guide our data collection, any analysis performed should be focused on answering some of these main questions. How does granting elevated access to the VM affect a person's emotional state? How does granting elevated access to the VM affect a person's values and goals? How does someone effectively navigate and experiment with their ability to change the contents of their VM? How is elevated access being weaponized? What actions and values most contribute to the destruction of the universe? More importantly, how might your observations apply to our own universe? Bonus, how can we present this to upper management as an operation that benefits the company? Unrelated note, whoever changed the color scheme of the desktop to pink, can you please change it back? It's unprofessional and it runs the risk of drawing eyes. And then ethics. Simply put, it's not our job to arbitrarily decide upon some code of ethics just because we're the first ones to do this, to our knowledge. That's the government's job to figure out, so long as we've made enough headway for it to no longer apply to us. It's fundamentally flawed to apply ethical reasoning to this anyway, because humanity's code of ethics is based upon nothing more than our knowledge and understanding of life forms similar to ours. We don't have ethics for killing bacteria or plants, only for the creatures that we can convincingly project our emotions onto. I mean, yeah, that's true. The humans in our VMs operate completely differently from us on a fundamental level, and therefore should not be taken any more seriously than a machine that's programmed to print "I feel sad." We're engineers, not philosophers. Fair. Alright, so now, whoops, didn't I accidentally clicked Ddlc. Alright, then yeah, let's exit out. Oh, alright, got the notification that I got more email. Guess that was false. Okay. Side stories. So we have one more to do. And that would be self-love. So, here is the last of the side stories. And let's see what we can find. It's only been 1 day since Yuri's letter was delivered to Natsuki with Monika's help. Because Yuri chose not to attend the club meeting that day, she and Natsuki haven't faced each other since. Oh, I just realized I skipped one. I have to do reflection part 2. A new day arrives. Sayori arrives at the club room earlier than usual, that is, not late. As she enters, it appears to be empty still, so she sits down at a desk and pulls out a sheet of paper, primed to jot down her thoughts. Sayori has made a habit of scribbling her thoughts and feelings onto paper whenever possible, as it tends to serve as her best inspiration for poetry. My heart feels vacant because a ship sailed away. Yo. Ah! Natsuki? Natsuki pokes her head out from behind the closet door. Ha, sorry, didn't mean to scare you. But it would have been a lot more awkward if I didn't say anything. I doubt you want me listening in on your poetry thing. Yeah, thanks for that. Should I let you finish that up then? Oh no, it wasn't. I mean, I just do it whenever it's convenient. You're not interrupting. Where's Monika, by the way? Oh, she's out in the hallway. Huh, why? Well, just in case she runs into Yuri. Sometimes Yuri is too nervous to come into the club room by herself. So, oh. Geez, does Yuri really let things bother her for that long? She can't control her feelings. For some people, it's really hard to cope when you get a bad thought in your head. Maybe you can distract yourself for a little while. But as soon as it's just you and your thoughts again, it comes back. Yeah. I just want us to have a normal club meeting. It's a lot easier to pretend like it never happened if we all just ignore it and move on. I don't want to be bothered by this. It's so stupid. Her opinion of me doesn't matter anyway. Yeah. Besides, it makes me feel really guilty, and I hate that too. Why would you feel guilty? You didn't really... Well, okay, no, I mean... You were a little bit thick-headed about what Yuri was trying to tell you, but that was after she left. It's okay to have feelings. It doesn't make you weak. Let's figure this out together. Fine, only because you're good at this stuff. Let's try to come up with a happy scene. Maybe that will help us understand where your bad feelings are coming from. Well, I was happy the way things were before we had to have that conversation yesterday. What part of the conversation made you upset? It was Yuri being mean about the manga. Or sorry, was it Yuri being mean about the manga? Maybe, I doubt it though, because my friends and other people make fun of manga all the time, but I just brush it off and ignore them. But something about it really got to me this time, and I hate that I'm letting that happen. Is it because it came from Yuri? No, why would that matter? I mean, well, maybe. I hate that she thinks she's so much better. She doesn't. Just because she likes to pretend to be all sophisticated. Where are you getting this idea from? Yeah, that's what it is. At least other people decide that they don't like me or manga or whatever, but Yuri acts like she's too good to even give it a chance. I'm sorry. Everyone deserves it. What? What do you mean too good to give it a chance? She said that she read it a long time ago and she just doesn't want to anymore. Like, she moved on. Would you give Yuri's books a chance? Ha, after this, obviously not. What about before this? Well, I would until I got bored, which wouldn't take very long, but if you actually keep an open mind, then it's not hard to realize the story can be deep and meaningful without being needlessly complicated. I see, but you know, I like Yuri's books. Yeah, but you like manga more, right? Sayori shakes her head. I like them both. I like them in different ways, but I like them both. I mean, the manga is really honest and fun and easy to just let go with. And the fantasy has a lot to interpret and uncover, and it's really rewarding to have some good quiet time together with it. But the most important thing is that both the manga and the fantasy are true to themselves, so I love both. And I think there's room for both of them to be in the same club together. And I just feel like maybe they have more in common than you would think. How do you get along with everyone so well? I always get into fights with people. Like, first it was with Monica when I got into the club, and then it was with you, and now Yuri. And I'm always like, oh, that person's being such a jerk, and if they realize that, then we could at least get along. Well, yeah. But nobody else has this problem. I just keep running away from the reality that everyone's just a jerk to me because nobody likes me. Well, I mean, there's your problem right there. It's that you think everybody's being a jerk to you and that you think nobody likes you, when in actuality, what they're saying is not really that big of a deal, and they don't really have a problem with you. It's just your interpretation of them having a problem with you. And I don't know why. I don't know what to do about it. I don't know what's wrong with me. I hate it. Natsuki. Sayori puts a comforting hand on Natsuki's shoulder. You're a wonderful person. You deserve to be loved as much as everyone else. Everyone has different ways they like to communicate, you know? And sometimes that makes it harder for us to understand each other. And I think that sometimes we get lucky and make friends who are really good at the same kinds of communication, and it feels like you magically connect with them. But other times, even if both people are really nice, it's easy for them to misunderstand each other or to get the communication wrong. It's something that Yuri struggles a lot with too. It can be really hard. It takes a lot of reflection and self-awareness and vulnerability. I'm bad at that one, vulnerability. I always have to be the strongest. What do you mean? Tell me about that part of you. Well, it sounds stupid, but I'm really used to people being mean to me, like my friends and I guess my dad. Like when I don't when I don't get good grades, or even stupid things like if my room isn't clean. So what am I gonna do? Cry about it? If I let myself get upset, then it's just letting them win. I'm better than that. I'm better than all of them. So things always have to be everyone else's fault. It feels like if something goes wrong, and there's even a tiny hint that it might be my fault, then I just get really angry and I find ways to blame everything else instead. Do you see yourself as better than Yuri? If I said that, then I would just sound really full of myself. No. Our thoughts and feelings are two different things. Even if we don't like our feelings, we have to understand them if we want to learn more about ourselves. That's a part of vulnerability, you know, accepting that we have feelings we don't like. I hate that. My feelings make me a bad person, because my feelings just want to tell me that I'm so much better than her. That she is a judgmental know-it-all who's stuck in her edgy phase, and that I'm just way above that garbage. Well, I mean, now, if you're admitting that that's a thing for you, then you don't really have a right to be getting angry at Yuri for what you believe is basically the same thing. But I'm terrible for feeling that way. You're not terrible. You are not your feelings, but you are not your feelings. Say that to yourself out loud. Fine, I am not my feelings. The way that I like to picture it is that those feelings are like your roommate. You live in the same house and you gotta see each other every day, and even if you can ignore each other most of the time, you gotta run into each other every now and again. It's gonna make you feel like poop. So, the other option is to get to know each other. You can communicate and learn from each other and maybe even help each other change for the better. Does that help you understand? How do you know so much about this stuff? I just have a roommate that can be really hard to get along with, called depression. Depression? But you're like the happiest person I know. I am not my feelings. I want to be a good person like you. Ha, you little sweetheart. We're all good people. You and Yuri and Monica, and I think Yuri will eventually learn that about you. Natsuki remains silent, feeling a little overwhelmed. Despite Sayori's kind reassurance, a complicated mixture of pain and sadness seems to fill her, as though she's flowing from a wound inside her. Was it a result of her vulnerability? No, it wasn't as though she was inflicted a wound after becoming vulnerable. It was as though she began to rediscover an old wound, one that cannot simply be bandaged and left alone any longer. Yuri, what are you doing all the way over here? I was looking for you. Please don't yell at me. Oh, I'm not going to yell at you. I just wanted to say I'm sorry for what happened yesterday. It was unfair of me to put everyone on the spot like that. Next time I won't try to jump in and solve everyone's problems. I guess it's a bad habit of mine. You're not mad at me? I thought you were the one mad at me. I was so awful yesterday. Yuri curls up, recalling the details of the argument. I can't even have a normal conversation without saying something wrong and making everyone upset. Hold on, that's not at all what happened. Let's talk about this, okay? Yuri pauses for a moment, then manages a nod. Yuri takes a seat next to her on the staircase. I'm having a lot of negative thought patterns and I can't get away from them. What kind of negative thought patterns? Like everyone hates me, especially Natsuki. Ah, that's terrible. I don't think Natsuki hates you. How do you know? Well, because Monica thinks back to the time that she herself found herself in an altercation with Natsuki, and how a display of maturity from Monica was enough for Natsuki to reevaluate her own feelings as well. I think Natsuki is just naturally defensive. I think she acts mean when she feels the need to protect herself, but you know, she's really not a bad person. In fact, I think she can be really thoughtful and considerate. She's just, well, I guess the way it works is that she wants to receive some degree of kindness before she feels comfortable returning it. Oh, but that means the burden is on me, and I don't know how to say things that make people like me. Every time I open my mouth, I just... Yuri shakes her head at herself and tugs on her hair. It's okay, Yuri, you don't need to beat yourself up. I think anyone would like you if they had a chance to get to know you. Well, unfortunately, the opposite is true. That's why I'm not talkative to anyone in the first place, because everyone used to think I'm weird and talk bad about me behind my back. That's just what happens when I draw attention to myself. Natsuki even said she found it more respectable when people speak their minds, so I did, and she hated me anyway. That was enough to confirm my fears, but Sayori and I like you, and we've gotten to know you a lot by now, right? Yuri doesn't seem to have a response. Hey, what do you think of Natsuki? I don't think about her. That's not what I meant, really. I was just wondering if you had an opinion on her. I do. What is it? Natsuki seems to bring out the worst in me, and I feel really ashamed of it. I like to think of myself as a fairly sophisticated person, so for someone to just treat me like I'm inferior despite my tastes, that's just the worst kind of insult coming from someone like her, and it makes me think bad things about her. But everyone else seems to like her, so the only explanation is that it's me who's doing something wrong again, and my feelings about her are wrong, and I'm wrong to get upset over something so childish and inconsequential. No, Yuri, feelings are never wrong. Well, they're not right. That's the thing. Feelings are never right or wrong, you know? They're just a state of being that we don't always have control over. But that doesn't mean they have to control us. I feel like that's something I learned around when I first started this club. We can hate ourselves for feeling a certain way about things, or we can, you know, just acknowledge that they exist and try to understand them better. I can never be mad at you for feeling a certain way. It's about how you handle them. And I think working through your feelings is a great opportunity for teamwork. Yuri wears a dejected expression. You make it sound so easy. You're so mature and so good with people. I feel like such a child in comparison. No, Yuri, I'm far from perfect. These are learned skills. They didn't come naturally to me either. It's really hard to reflect on yourself and separate your feelings from your thoughts. I just want to be a good person. Well, I think it takes a good person to get this far. That's not good enough. I want to be able to communicate to her. Communicate what? How I feel. How it makes me feel frustrated and upset when she gets so negative and dismissive about things that mean so much to me, and how it reminds me of me, because I know what it's like to feel misunderstood and angry at everyone. I know that telling yourself you're better than everyone is just a defense mechanism. We're just people. We're fragile and unstable, but I'm just tired of getting in the way. I can't stand it when the peace is disturbed like this. Yeah, you can't focus on your reading when the peace is disturbed, right? Because the literature club should be happy for everyone. Monica looks at Yuri in adoration. I feel like Sayori must be rubbing off on me because I really want to hug you now. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable. No, I mean, well, if you wanted to, then I certainly wouldn't mind. Monica pulls Yuri into an embrace. You're so gentle, and I love when you communicate your feelings. I feel lucky to get to see that side of you, and I'm sure Natsuki will too. I'm gonna write a letter. Oh, a letter? What a great idea. Just because I'm not good at talking, especially under pressure. I always let my feelings get the best of me, and I forget to say all the important things, and I say things I don't mean. Well, I think a letter would be wonderful. Such a nice way to communicate. Yuri's face hardens with determination. People don't naturally gravitate towards me like they do you and Sayori. My personality just isn't suited for that, and I wouldn't want it to be. But something I've learned is that friendships don't always just magically appear out of thin air. For instance, I would never have seen myself making friends with someone like Sayori. We're opposite in a lot of ways, but I'm friends with her because she puts so much effort into understanding me so that we can get along. I think it was the same with you. You both gave me a lot of time and patience, and I wonder if she feels the same way. Natsuki? Yuri nods. I always thought that if I wanted to make more friends, I had to be somebody that I'm not. That there's a type of person or magical formula that I have to follow in order to make someone like me. And that's just like me to think that, always so occupied with myself that I fail to understand other people. Yuri shakes her head. Friendship happens when you think about the other person. When you offer time and effort to understand them and respect them and trust that they also want to be a good person. That's what I learned through my observations in the literature club. Observations? Monica is caught by surprise. Yuri has always kept to herself so much that it's so unusual to hear her suddenly talking about the club like this, but Yuri gently smiles to herself. You always let me listen to your thoughts about people. Sayori too. And it makes me happy because I learn a lot of things. That's so sweet. I had no idea it meant that much to you. Monica never thought much about it, but in the past weeks, Yuri always seemed to be especially attentive when it came to the problems and concerns of others, always wanting to listen and learn more about her friends in the club. It's true, Sayori and Monica are naturally more comfortable with each other and can more easily work through situations of conflict. But that doesn't make them better people. Everyone has strengths and weaknesses and the capacity to improve, and the first step towards improving oneself is reflection and self-awareness. It's something that Yuri never gave herself credit for, but that Monica can recognize as an incredible trait. And with that, her confidence in the club is restored. A very shy girl with long pretty hair is wandering the bustling lunchtime hallways, her fist pressed into her collarbone. When she finds the literature club president's classroom, she stands at the door, glancing all around her before peering inside. Monica is sitting and chatting with a group of unknown friends. Yeah, as expected, this was a bad idea after all. Suddenly, Monica glances towards the door, making the girl panic and duck out of sight. Before she can regain composure and decide for sure to leave, the classroom door gently opens. Yuri, what a surprise to see you during lunch. Yuri squeaks in response, please help me. What, is everything okay? Yuri shakes her head. I don't know how to write letters. Ha, thank goodness. I thought there was some kind of emergency. Monica briefly glances over her shoulder at her friends. Do you want some help? We can go find an empty classroom or something. Is that okay? I feel bad taking you away from your friends. It's totally fine, I promise. We weren't really doing anything. One sec. Monica trots back into her classroom and says something like, I gotta go to her friends, then grabs a pen off her desk before returning to Yuri. Okay, let's find somewhere quiet. Yuri nods and follows Monica, and the two of them set off. How are you today? Huh? Me? Well, yes. Oh gosh, I'm sorry. I was just caught off guard. I'm doing well today, just tired. I never seem to get enough sleep during the week. How come? Oh, I don't know. I think I'm just easily distracted. I get really sucked into things and start neglecting the time. Me too. I do that too. Hey, this classroom is empty. Let's go in here. After peering inside, Monica opens the classroom door and the two of them enter. Yuri's moment of relaxation ends. She watches Monica pull 2 chairs up to the same desk, then obeys as Monica beckons her to a seat. She stares down the empty desk. You nervous? I don't want to do this. We don't have to. We can come up with something else. Yuri shakes her head. It's my chance to do something good. I need to take initiative. Gosh, you must be really determined. I know how hard it is for you to step outside of your comfort zone. I'll be sure to encourage you. Yuri pushes through her anxiety and grabs a handful of lined paper with a notebook. Then she picks up her pen. Wow. Hey, you're left-handed. That's neat. People who are really observant would have spotted that. Like in the original game, and actually I think in the 5,000 subscriber video that I did, somebody asked for that, and I knew just from watching before that yeah, Yuri was left-handed. Ah, yeah. Now I don't have to worry about bumping your arm. Monica playfully rubs her shoulder against Yuri's. Sorry, I'm just being silly, I guess. Anyway, how about we start by listing the different things you want to say to her? Yuri thinks. I feel embarrassed all of a sudden. Ah, it's okay. How about some of the things you said to me yesterday? But never mind, I guess I'll try. Yuri thinks for a moment longer, her tension evident. The way Monica is looking at Yuri right now, just... Were they trying to make these pictures just look as romantic as possible? She's just looking right at her like, wow, you are so pretty. Like, what the... Then she writes the word reflection. This is about my reflection of our behavior. The key question is why we act like this towards each other, but have been able to separately be friends with Sayori and Monica. That's me! Yes, it is. So, Yuri thinks. I've been able to befriend the two of you because you've taken the time to understand my needs and respect my interests. Monica just, you know, she has her hand looking so close at Yuri like, Oh my god. The same goes for Natsuki too. We started off as pretty hostile towards each other because I was so worried about getting what I wanted. But she just wanted to be respected more than anything else. Sam. Fanservice.jpg, yep. Once I stopped making it about me, she was able to do the same. I want to do that too. Now you've got... Actually, no, this face that Yuri's making, she's looking over at Monica like, you're getting kind of close. You want to back off a little bit? So what kind of things do you want to do for her? I want to do the same things for her that I like to receive. I like it when people respond positively to the things I talk about and not just brush me off. I like it when my feelings are taken seriously. And I like when you and Sayori trust... Oh, excuse me. That I want to be a good person even when I'm not doing a good job at it. Let's write those things down. Okay. Yuri writes some things down. I think the most important thing to remember here is that Natsuki is feeling vulnerable. We need to make sure that the letter puts her first. It's hard when you're feeling hurt, but it never helps to just tell someone all the things they're doing wrong. I think you first have to make sure that they know you're ready to respect them and listen to them and admit the things that you feel you could do better. Then finally, you ask what you would like in return. How does that sound for the structure? It could be 3 paragraphs, one for each of these points. I like that. My thoughts were so disorganized, I had no idea how to come up with any kind of structure. You're so amazing at these things. Now Yuri's giving her the look too. Oh my god. And yeah, the way they're complimenting you, oh, stop it, you. You've done so much more. You've done so much more than I have, you know. You spent so much time reflecting and being open-minded. That's the hardest thing for anyone to do. All I'm doing is helping you put it on a piece of paper. So I think you're the amazing one, Yuri. Monica gives Yuri's hand a quick squeeze. Okay, and like, okay, you guys tell me, am I the dirty one here, or is this like blatantly trying to look like a lesbian fanfic here? Like, come on. The artist who helped draw this does draw NSFW, so yeah, they even did one of Monica before Ddlc Plus, but they can't do that anymore. Okay, so I mean, well, I mean, yeah, there's some context here. Like, I mean, you guys are with me on this one, right? Like, these pictures that we're seeing, and combined with some of the text that we're seeing here, it's intimate beyond the level of typical friendship. I mean, I'm not wrong about that, am I? Septal Minor says, well, you're putting a romantic undertone to it, honestly. Oh, I mean, I don't think so, Septal. I think the romantic undertone is already there. Sam says, no, Dan's mind was definitely a little deeper in the gutter going into this one. I mean, right? I don't think I'm inserting any kind of romantic undertone. I think the romantic undertones are not even really well, I mean, they're undertones, but they're not subtle. I mean, this atmosphere and the way they're interacting with each other, I don't know. To me, it just seems like this was done on purpose. But as she lets go, she's caught by surprise when Yuri curls her fingers to hook Monica's hand in place. You see what I mean? For a while, they sit like that in silence, save for the occasional scratching of Yuri's pen against the paper. So they're holding hands while Yuri's writing this thing. They're sitting close to each other. Monica's giving her the stare. Yeah, I mean, okay, Avon, I'm glad that you agree. It's not canon that they want a relationship. Dan would say that if asked, but it has to be on purpose. Yeah, I mean, come on. How could it not be? How can anybody just be like, oh, you know, this is what typical friends do? And I even mentioned that my girlfriend, she saw the picture of, like, Sayori, like, sitting on the ground with Yuri, and, like, you know, their legs are touching. She's, like, got her arms wrapped around her. First thing she asked is, are those two supposed to be lesbians? So, I mean, this isn't just a guy trying to be perverted thing. I mean, that was my girlfriend coming to the same conclusion. So, I mean, that can probably tell you that this is not a typical thing that girls do. Yesterday, you told me something that I'm thinking about a lot. What was that? The thing about how feelings aren't right or wrong, that they're just a state of being we need to come to terms with. Maybe Dan wants to tease the fandom. I mean, that could be it. Dan could just be, this could just be a marketing play. Like, maybe he did this on purpose so that people would be talking specifically about these scenes. And the more people talk about these scenes, the more people know about the game. And the more people know about the game, the more people are going to buy the game. And the more people buy the game, obviously, the more money he makes. So, I mean, that could be it. This could just be Dan being a marketing wizard. It makes me think about how a person's behavior isn't always just about how they decide to be. It's also made up of their past experiences and their insecurities. Sam, Monica, I don't know what to write. Here, let's write together. Gently holds hand and guides pen. Oh my god. I think that helps me see other people as actual people rather than as insignificant side characters who are out to get me somehow. Is that how you felt about Natsuki? Yuri nods. But in reality, everyone is always trying their best and everyone wants to be happy. Monica peers over at Yuri's paper, but to her surprise, Yuri pulls it in closer, partially covering it with her arm. I have to be able to read it to help out, you know. It's okay. My thoughts are a lot more organized now, after being able to talk to you about it. Now that I'm actually putting it on paper, I realize I'd really prefer others not to read it. Yuri laughs softly to herself, a rare expression. I'm kind of glad to hear that, actually. I somehow keep finding ways to butt into this whole thing. I've done enough damage. Haha. But it's also been so wonderful talking about this. I mean, I always thought you were really smart, but Yuri smiles. I will always be terrible at these things. People are just so incomprehensible to me. I'll never get the hang of being one. Haha. But listening to you so much has really helped me make sense of a lot of things. So just don't call it damage, please. Monica gives Yuri a gentle smile. I can't believe I came to this club looking for fantasy geeks, and all I got was real friends who value me. Is that a joke? Of course it is. Ha! I still can't tell with you. Sorry. No, I love it. Please never change. As you wish. Yuri glances at the clock. We're almost out of time. Will you be able to finish? Before the end of the day, probably. But I don't want to come to the club the same day that Natsuki reads it. I'm too shy. I can give it to her instead if you like. Yuri nods, as long as you promise not to read it. Of course, I promise. Thank you. Yuri exhales and the two stand up. I'll message you when it's ready. Monica nods. Good luck. I'm here if you need me. Yuri returns a nod and the two depart. Okay, so that was entertaining. Probably for different reasons than what would appear to be the intention, or maybe it was exactly for, maybe it was entertaining as intended. Alright, so we got a few more pictures here. That's a pretty cute picture in Natsuki. Alright, so we saw this one already. I named my pen. Oh, we already saw that one. We saw this one too. Then there's Monica and Yuri. A rough sketch, concept sketch of what the faceless protagonist might have looked like if he was a real character. I mean, hey, that's pretty close to the commonly used MC sprites. Alright, cool. Let's see, do we have any more mail? Nope. Okay, so now we have one more story to go through. And I'm wondering what kind of really intimate, borderline relationshipy, romantic situation Natsuki and Yuri are going to find themselves in. Let's find out. It's only been one day since Yuri's letter was delivered to Natsuki with Monika's help, but Yuri chose not to attend the club meeting that day. Because Yuri chose not to attend the club meeting that day, she and Natsuki haven't faced each other since. Although it's only lunchtime, Yuri finds herself anxiously counting the hours until she will need to face the outcome of her efforts, whether good or bad. And because the passing by of students was making her feel even more anxious, Yuri picked out the most secluded spot she could find to spend her lunch. Because the staircase is under maintenance, no student would have any reason for coming here. It's such a relaxing feeling to have a moment of solitude in the middle of a frantic school day. Hey! Eep. What are you doing here? Yuri grips her book with enough force to wrinkle the pages beneath the pressure of her thumbs. Well, what are you doing here? I just came to get a drink from the vending machine. The other one is out of the drink I like. Yuri notices Natsuki fidgeting with a few coins between her fingers. She nods, avoiding eye contact. Natsuki, also looking away, shuffles over to the vending machine. It's so quiet that every one of her movements seem to reverberate through the entire stairwell. After far too long, she finally receives her beverage, which she then fidgets with within the place of the coins. It's some kind of iced tea, but instead of leaving right away, Natsuki just stands in place. She glances all around her. It's like way too quiet back here. It's creepy. I mean, that's not what I meant, really. I mean, it's totally cool that it's your thing or whatever. Like, I can see how it suits you, so... Not because I think you're creepy or something. I didn't mean that either. You know, I'm just gonna stop talking. That seems like a good idea. It's okay. Everything is okay. Yuri finds herself attempting some words of comfort after hearing Natsuki stammer herself into dejection. Seemingly in response, Natsuki approaches the base of the stairs and hesitantly sits herself down near Yuri. Well, I can leave if you want. Yuri shakes her head. Natsuki twists the cap off her drink and takes a sip. Despite receiving Yuri's general permission, Natsuki doesn't say anything anymore. Yuri continues to read, or at least pretends to. After the two just sit there for a long time, the tension seems to fade a little bit as time passes. Even without any words, this seems to mean at least something, though it's not clear what it may be. Lunch ends more quickly than expected. Natsuki is the first to stand up with her empty drink bottle. Are you coming today? To the club. Yuri nods. I'm sorry for being so awkward. I'm really bad at talking about this stuff. I just can't for some reason. I don't know why. But I want to, eventually. There's no rush, I promise. Thanks. It's the next day. Natsuki appears from around the corner and steps up to the vending machine, glancing at Yuri as she does so. Today she seems to be holding some kind of book as well. Oh, you're here again. Well, I just came here to read this because there aren't any people around here. Oh? I thought you didn't like how quiet it was. Well, I don't, but there's no people here. I see. Natsuki sits down. The mood feels much different today than it did yesterday. After yesterday's lunch and the club meeting that followed, Natsuki and Yuri are beginning to feel more relaxed around each other again. Although Yuri's letter is still lingering in the back of Natsuki's mind, she continues to detour around it. But it's okay that I'm here? Yeah, I don't care. I mostly just don't feel like dealing with the crap I get from my friends about it. Especially since, like, they all just assumed I stopped reading manga after I joined the literature club. Not that I'm trying to hide it from them exactly. But I just don't want it to come up again now, after I've waited so long for this new volume to come out, literally months at this point. You don't have other friends who are into manga? Not unless online friends count, but, and Sayori, but that's different because she's not exactly into it, she just likes it, you know what I mean? Honestly, you're lucky that the books you're into at least just look like books, so you don't have to feel like everyone is constantly judging you by what you're reading. That would be so awful, especially since I already hate attention so much. Well, it's a good thing I have thick skin, I guess. Do you? Do you have thick skin, Natsuki? By the way, I would totally recommend finding some friends online if you haven't already. If you're like me and have no one else to share your hobby with. Oh, I have online friends. Since middle school, actually. I was especially desperate back then. It's somewhat embarrassing to reminisce about those days. Sometimes I feel like the me from a few years ago would have benefited from a good smack across the face. Oh, whatever. We were all just stupid kids back then anyway. Some of the fanfics I wrote, thank God I used a pseudonym. But I liked it at the time. I got a lot of fulfillment out of it. And plus, I can look back and say with confidence that I've become a better person since then. So I don't think I would change anything. I wonder if a few years from now we'll think the same thing about our current selves. Yep, you will. Ha, probably. That doesn't make you uncomfortable? No, of course not. I don't care what other people think of me, especially someone who doesn't even exist yet. Alright, here. Natsuki raises her hand to her face and forcefully slaps her own cheek. That's me from the future coming to terms with me now. Also, ow, I didn't mean to do it that hard. Yuri doesn't seem to react. But then, to Natsuki's surprise, Yuri shyly looks the other way before lifting her arm and doing the same thing to herself, loudly smacking her cheek. She turns red and stares into her lap, but is unable to hide a smile as though it was a really funny joke. Oh, that's what I'm talking about. I didn't know you had it in you. I don't. I don't even know why I did that. Maybe I thought it would be funny. Sorry, I keep distracting you. You said you were looking forward to reading, but I keep going on about all this nonsense. I'll let you get to your reading. Oh, right. Yeah, I guess I'll do that then. The conversation ends quickly and Natsuki opens her book. The two read silently for the remainder of the lunch hour, but the whole time Yuri feels distracted by a twist of regret over having so abruptly forced the end of their conversation. You're back. Yeah, I'm here to lay low again. Another day has passed. During lunchtime, Natsuki finds herself having wandered to the stairwell once more. Hey, did you buy that? Natsuki quickly notices a bottle of iced tea on the staircase where she normally sits. Yuri nods, avoiding eye contact. What, like for me? But you didn't know I was coming here today. What if I didn't show up? Well, I would have drank it myself, I guess. It was a stupid thing to do. No, it wasn't stupid. I just thought, never mind. What I meant to say is thank you, and that's a really nice gesture. It's okay if you don't feel that way. I do. It was the other things I didn't mean. I swear, please believe me. Yuri pauses, then nods. Talking is hard. I get it wrong a lot, too. So I believe you. Natsuki exhales in relief. She then sits down next to Yuri and takes the drink. Knowing Yuri, she was probably overthinking it so much that Natsuki's tepid response filled her with self-doubt. I'll do something nice for you next time. Please don't feel obligated. I want to do nice things too. Okay, thank you. You can thank me after I figure out how to do something nice. I'll do it then too. Natsuki sighs. Nothing. It just reminds me of how I haven't been getting along with my friends lately. Is that why you've been coming here? Well, no, not exactly. I haven't been avoiding them on purpose or anything. There are just other things I'd rather be doing during lunch lately. I like being around them when we're all just having fun, but they also just can't take anything seriously. So when I'm, I don't know, feeling serious, then their attitudes just really get on my nerves. It's only gotten worse ever since I joined the literature club. How come? I don't know. I feel like I used to be really good with just putting up with it, but because it would be so stupid to cause drama over a joke I didn't like or something. But I just have a hard time doing that lately. But it's my fault for being overly sensitive. If I have a problem, I'm not going to demand for everyone else around me to change. But yeah, I know, Monika and Sayori don't agree with that kind of thing. But they're not in my position, so it's easy for them to say that you should just communicate your feelings or whatever. But it's not like my friend group does that kind of thing. I would just be making an embarrassment to myself. Sorry, none of this has anything to do with you. I don't know why I'm talking about it. It's okay, I like listening. What, listening to other people's problems? Yes. Ha, that's weird. Sorry. I just like learning about people. Do you think it's weird? No, it's not weird. I probably just misunderstood, so I don't know. Does that mean I should keep going? If you like. Okay, well, I don't know what to talk about now. What are some things you like about your friends? A lot of things. I mean, they're really fun to hang out with, like after school and on the weekends, and they really like my baking. And it's fun to complain about school together, and they make me laugh a lot, and we have a lot of good memories and inside jokes. Oh, I'm bad at all of those things. So, are all those things, the things that are important to you? Well, kind of, but they're not the things I need to get out of everybody. Everyone in the club is different from that, but I'm still friends with them too. Well, Sayori really likes your baking, and she makes you laugh, and she complains a lot. That doesn't mean she is anything like my other friends. Well, unlike them, she's a nice person who cares about your feelings. Excuse me? How about you don't talk that way about my friends that you don't know anything about? Natsuki stands up. No, wait, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. I didn't want to say something bad. Please don't leave. Natsuki sighs and shakes her head. It's fine, as long as you understand that you can't just judge people like that. I'm sorry. Natsuki sits back down. You can't just compare friends like that and measure who's better than who. Everyone's different. I'm sorry. I just don't like people who want to hurt you. A moment of silence stretches between them. They don't want to hurt me. We just like to tease each other about stupid things. It's fun. I don't like that. Well, that's why I'm friends with them and you're not. You like it? Just don't worry so much about me. It's not worth it. I'm sorry? I wish I knew how to help with social conflicts. Like how Monika can. She's good at these things. Not really. Also, I don't always want help. Sometimes it's just stuff I have to deal with myself. That's what Monika and Sayori never seem to understand. Sometimes all you do is look at them wrong and they're like, oh, what's wrong? Is everything okay? Yeah, I can kind of agree with that. I just want to mind my own business sometimes and decide myself if I want to talk about things. The only one who understands that is you. So you really shouldn't be so hard on yourself. You're not as bad as you think. Oh, you don't need to reassure me or anything. I mean that. Plus, it makes sense that someone who doesn't talk a lot would make a good listener. Thank you. You're also nice. It's really hard for me. It doesn't come naturally at all. It's so weird because I always thought of myself as someone who can just say whatever's on my mind. But I feel like that only works when I'm annoyed or upset or I want to say something mean. Why am I like that? You don't have to answer that, I'm just talking to myself. Yuri nods and remains silent. Natsuki notices her fidgeting with the pages of her book. How come you like reading so much? Oh, well, a lot of reasons. Because I just get sucked into it so easily. It's so immersive, like I want to be a part of it. I think there are a lot of things about people in real life that make me feel uncomfortable and frustrated. Especially when it comes to following social conventions and group interactions. I just don't really understand it, and I have no real desire to participate. But it's different with books. It feels like I always want to be around the characters. I feel such a strong emotional connection with them in ways that I've never felt with real people. So in that way, it can sometimes feel more real than real life. Really? Is it that hard for you to be around people, like, all the time? Fairly often, especially in group settings. When people are making all kinds of conversation and saying jokes and all that, I don't know what to do, and I just disengage. Oh, that doesn't get lonely? I don't think so. I can still enjoy spending time with people one-on-one, and I have online friends too, of course. Yes, I mean, introvert. Do you ever wish that you could be friends with the characters in your books? All the time. Sometimes so badly that it makes my heart ache. Yeah, me too. Really? Mm-hmm. A lot. Like, more than anything. After Natsuki mutters that, silence fills the stairwell once more, but it's a mutual silence, one full of understanding. Alright, so there's part one of what I'm guessing is not actually the final story, based on what Avon is saying. Alright, so let's look at all the new stuff we got. Alright, so some we've already seen. Alright, any new mail? Issue caused by unprotected memory. Has anyone evaluated the side effects that might be caused by sharing a memory pool between multiple VMs, rather than allocating them separately? I'm looking at some of the files VM1 is generating, and I'm finding some information that definitely shouldn't be there. I haven't seen any evidence that this is actually affecting the inside of the VM itself, so I don't think this is a priority, but it's definitely worth noting. My best guess is that memory being freed from VM2 isn't getting zeroed out, which technically gives VM1 access to it. All the info I have will go into the issue tracker, but I wanted to check if anyone else already noticed something wrong, something along those lines. So we saw before that VM2 is going to be a medium scale project of some kind. And if VM1 is being given access to it, that means that Monica could have a way in. She could have a way into this new VM, and so it'd be like she's world hopping. If Salvato is going to make another game, then this VM2 could be that game. And if VM1 has access to it, then that could mean Monica is going to hop from Ddlc to whatever Dan Salvato's new game is. And that could be interesting. Avon wants to see what our percentage is. We're at 85%. Alright, so we have Self-Love Part 2. And from what we can see right now, this appears to be the final side story. So let's see what we got. Hey. Oh, hello. I almost thought you weren't coming today. Yeah, well, lunch is already more than halfway over. Natsuki had typically been meeting Yuri in the stairwell much earlier, since it had been a good way of dodging her friends when she didn't feel like seeing them. Today she's holding a large plastic container in both hands. She made Yuri some cupcakes. I ran into my friends, so I hung out with them for a while. Is that so? Yeah. I was in a good mood today, so I figured I should. I hadn't seen them in a while, which I had come up with an excuse for, but I expected that. Plus, I have way more of these than I know what to do with, so I figured I would share with them too. As she sits down, Natsuki opens the lid of her container. You made cupcakes? You know it! It's been a while at this point, so I figured it was about time again. You can take one if you want. Yuri takes a cupcake and carefully twists it between her fingers. It's brown, with dark green frosting immaculately shaped into a floral pattern and topped with some kind of glittery powder. How pretty. I just ate, so I may not be able to finish it. Are they for the club? Yeah, I guess so. I didn't really think about it, I just made them. I just thought that because green is Monica's favorite color, right? Well, yeah, but that's not really... Yuri takes a small bite. This is green tea flavored. I love green tea. Oh, do you? It was just a random idea I wanted to try. There was foreshadowing to this. When, was it Natsuki who guessed that Yuri's favorite flavor would be green tea? Ethan Garner, the real story is Dan Salvato trying to make a bunch of fanfics. Don't laugh at me. I'm not. I just felt happy. Oh, sorry. Usually when... Never mind. What I mean is that I'm glad. Sorry for saying dumb things again. I just wanted to do something nice, and this is something I happen to be good at. And I do know that you like them from past experience. Yuri turns red, recalling the time she treated herself rather generously to Natsuki's cupcakes. Ironically, her mouth is too full of cupcake for her to stammer an excuse, so she just settles for a disapproving look. How did you get into baking? Oh, well, I don't know. It kinda just always appealed to me. Well, a few years ago, I read this one manga with a lot of baking, so I got like super into it for a while. I was probably making stuff almost every day. But it's something that I always knew I liked anyway. It's like baking is an art, but when you get good at it, it gets more delicious too. I'm struggling to imagine myself putting my heart into something so artistic, knowing it would just be eaten afterwards. Yeah, maybe you're too practical for it. I think I prefer to be on the receiving end. That's my other favorite part about it. It's something I can do that makes a lot of people happy, like unconditionally. Everyone is always so thankful, and in that moment you get to be like the bringer of joy. I don't know, it just makes me feel valued. Yeah, I guess that. So, you were able to make up with your friends today? There wasn't really anything to make up with them about. We weren't fighting or anything. You weren't? Maybe I misunderstood. It only turns into a fight if I lose my cool, and that's just unnecessary drama. It only makes things worse. So they're not going to stop? I mean, it only happens sometimes anyway. It's just the way they are. I'm the only one who ever has a problem with it. It's not worth it. Especially since I have somewhere to go now and I don't feel like hanging out with them. Oh, I see. The cupcake's empty foil wrapper audibly crinkles as Yuri clenches a fist. I'm glad the situation is resolved and that you don't have to avoid them anymore. Yeah, me too. And I don't have to bother you during your alone time anymore. I'm sure you have a lot of reading to catch up on. Yeah. I know that cupcakes are basically nothing compared to all the stuff you've done for me, but it's the best I can do. So you can have the rest of them. Natsuki grabs the box and slides it over to Yuri's feet. Yuri stares at the box. Then she shakes her head and slides them back. You should save them for your friends. But I made them for you. Natsuki's voice whines as she protests. I know, and I like them very much, exactly as you thought. You succeeded. But I know you care about making your other friends happy too. And if this is the way you know how to make that happen, then I'm not going to take it from you. No, they were for making you happy. You make me happy. You're worth more than cupcakes to some people. Then that's why they want to spend time with you and be your friend. Without warning, tears pour from Natsuki's eyes. She pulls her knees to her chest and starts sobbing into her arms. Whoa. Natsuki? I'm such a bad person. Okay, Sayori. Yuri stammers, feeling panicked. I didn't mean to say something bad. Natsuki shakes her head and wipes her eyes. You didn't. Natsuki tries to choke back her sobs, but struggles to speak through them. I just really hate myself sometimes. Okay, Sayori. And it feels so wrong when you say those nice things to me. Okay, Sayori. Like I don't deserve it. She is channeling her inner depressed Sayori right now. I'm sorry. No, I am. I'm so difficult, and I can't think of even a single thing about myself that somebody would like. You just did. You make cupcakes and people like them. You get to be the bringer of joy. What happened to that? And I hated myself for bothering you during lunch. I thought it was my chance to be a good person, like to be nice and do the things you wrote about in the letter. I knew if I tried in the club, Sayori and Monika would be super annoying and make a huge deal out of it. I know. I think a lot of those negative things too, about myself. I never felt like a good person. I always scrutinize everything I say, and later I feel like I said all the wrong things. And I just spend so much time thinking about myself, hating myself, and feeling like everyone else must hate me too. So I understand some of that through my own experience. That's why I wanted to write the letter and express my feelings. It pained me to see those things in someone else that I saw in myself. Now, Sam, don't be sorry. We all know it's coming. Natsuki sniffles. Yuri rustles through her bag and pulls out some tissues, then hands them to Natsuki. Monika told me that it takes a good person to reflect on those things. The desire to improve yourself, that makes you a good person, so don't worry so much. Also, there are things about you that people would like, so... Like what? Tell me about how great I am, Yuri. Like how you're fun for people to be around, and you're not shy, and you know how to make people laugh, and you're very passionate about things, and you know how to take the lead, and you care a lot about people, and just a lot of things. Oh. Well, now you're making me feel really embarrassed. Well, you're the one who asked. And don't you think I feel embarrassed? I mean, yeah. For me, it's always a little weird if, you know, like just, you know, giving somebody a whole bunch of compliments. Like, you know, saying one thing about somebody that happens in the moment, it's just like, yeah, but like, if somebody, yeah, you just, well, with my girlfriend, it's different. Well, like, you know, if she says, tell me what you like about me, then it's like, okay, I can do that. But with, like, friends, it's like, what do you mean? It's like, if you don't already know, then, I mean, are you, like, insecure? Like, why do you want me to do that? Natsuki tries to hide a smile, then she sighs and, as it fades again. Every time I come here, I always think it's the last time, but then I keep coming back for some reason. Is that bad? Just really confusing. I mean, my friends and I go way back, so ditching them all the time feels like, I don't know, feels like what? Natsuki's voice goes quiet. Maybe I'm scared that they'll get mad at me. I really don't know what to do. She pauses. Yuri stares into the distance, tracing her eyes along the pattern of the floor tiles while she thinks to herself, what would you do, hypothetically, if your friends were happy for you instead of mad at you? Happy for what? Happy that your new club is making you happy. Well, that's just not a fair hypothetical. Natsuki says that, but with a little confidence in her voice. I always told myself that I don't rely on the approval of others to be happy, and I still feel that way, but I'm spending time with people who put me down whenever I don't have their approval. That's probably what's making me feel so confused, because I'm threatened out of the things that should make me happy. So no matter what, it's like I have to be unhappy to be happy. It's making my head hurt. That must make it really difficult to feel comfortable with yourself, being made to feel like you're wrong just for being the person you are. It really goes against everything I believe in, doesn't it? It goes against the kind of person I want to be. I'm fed up with it. I'm fed up with a lot of things. Natsuki presses her palms into her forehead and shakes her head. I know it's best for me, but I keep convincing myself out of it. It's so much easier to be comfortably unhappy than it is to do something scary. That's true. A lot of people choose that. They choose to just get comfortable in a situation they don't like, rather than take a stand and try to change things. That is true. Because, you know, as they say, better the devil you know than the devil you don't. To do what? You know, to end it. With them? I didn't think you were actively considering that as an option. I wasn't until recently. It's just one of those things where, like, it's been a certain way for so long that you just get used to it. Like, so much of you has gone into it, so much that it feels like that's just how your life is. And throwing it away is like throwing away such a big part of your life. It makes me feel sick to think about. It's just really scary. It's terrifying. What are you scared of? I don't know, a lot of things, like being alone, not having anyone to talk to or hang out with, not being able to replace what I have with them, and I don't want them to hate me. I'm just scared that they'll hurt me for going against them. Physically? Not physically, but Yuri clenches her fist. Natsuki, what? If anyone thinks to cause you harm, I will unleash hell upon them. Alright, a little bit of Act 2 Yuri we're seeing here. Natsuki snores in laughter. Don't laugh at me. I'm sorry, it's just, I like that, that's all. Oh, well, I meant it. I know you did. Natsuki gives Yuri an endearing look. I needed it. The conversation lapses as Natsuki again slides her box of cupcakes over to Yuri. Just take them, okay? I don't want other people to have them anymore. Are you sure? Natsuki nods. I'm sure. I will then. I'll enjoy them. Natsuki looks away, but a feeling of warmth spreads through her. She holds on to that feeling, knowing it'll give her courage. Ah, you're here first today. Mm-hmm. And you brought reading material. Mm-hmm. Natsuki is sitting in her usual spot, this time holding a volume of manga while her lunch sits beside her. Yuri sits down as well and opens her own book. It sucks when a good series has to come to an end. Like, it's such a big part of your life, and then one day there's just nothing left. It makes you feel empty. Well, this is hitting a little close to home with the meta-series, isn't it? Unfortunately, I'm about to experience that myself. I'm on the last book of this series. That sucks. But there's also something satisfying about letting a story conclude. I don't know if I'd want it to go on forever. Maybe. But there's some things that I wish could. On the other hand, have you ever read something that overstayed its welcome? Yeah, definitely. I can think of at least one thing I've read that got pretty unbearable like halfway through, and the ending really sucked. So it sucks when something good has to come to an end, but it also sucks when they just keep inventing more plot until you don't like it anymore. Yeah, Sam, you got a point. Monica was really, like, laying it on thick. I guess it sucks either way. Is this Dan's opinion on DDLC? I don't think so. Because, well, there hasn't... I mean, I'll put it to you this way. The amount of dialogue that Dan has put in DDLC... he's made one game, and then he's made a prequel. That's not really all that much. So I don't think this is Dan's opinion on DDLC. I think he's just saying something to give these two something to relate to each other about. They slowly eat while making their way through their respective reading material, except Natsuki doesn't even seem to be touching her food at all. You don't go out during weekends, right? Excuse me? Like with friends at the mall or downtown or whatever? I'm a total shut-in, you know. Oh, my bad for making assumptions. Well, I'm sure I go out less often than other people like you and the others in the club. I don't really meet with friends and arbitrarily spend time like that. I'm usually meeting with my board game group. Board game group? Board game group? It doesn't matter, it's just more nerdy stuff. Like, what kind of board games does Yuri play? Like, is she a D&D gal, or is she more of, Axis and Allies? I'd be very curious. Why do you ask, anyway? I was just curious. I just realized that I couldn't picture it, so I was just curious. Yuri and Natsuki looks at Natsuki and realizes that she's shaking. Don't look at me like that. Sorry. Natsuki pulls her knees into her chest and puts her head down. I can't take this. Did I do something? Yuri gets flustered, her mind racing over what she may have said or done. I did. I ended it. I texted them earlier, telling them, and then I just blocked them because I'm so afraid of their responses, and now it feels like I'm dying inside. Oh, that's... I'm sorry. Totally unsure of what to do, Yuri can barely find any words of support to offer. Meanwhile, the sound of Natsuki's unusually hard breathing fills the air. Then she speaks again, barely above a whisper. Help me. I feel sick and I want to hit my head against things. I don't know. Maybe it's just from my life experience, but again, this seems like a little bit of an overreaction, but when it comes to people that you've been friends with for a really long time, I guess I can kind of see why you would react, maybe not to this degree, but you would be really upset about it. Please help, I can't take this. You may be having a panic attack. With that realization, Yuri's demeanor suddenly changes. I have experience with this, so I'll help you through it, okay? Natsuki meekly nods through her rapid breath, head still buried in her knees. Yuri slides herself over to Natsuki and sits on the step behind her. Then she puts her hands on Natsuki's shoulders. Can you feel my hands? Natsuki nods. Her shaking becomes much more apparent through Yuri's sense of touch. Yuri keeps her voice low and gentle. You're safe right now. You're in a good and safe place where nothing can hurt you. Natsuki nods once more. Although Yuri is only touching Natsuki's shoulders, she can practically feel her racing pulse through the base of her neck. We'll do a breathing exercise together. All you have to do is listen to my breaths and breathe along with me. This is Yuri ASMR right here. Let's breathe now. Yuri takes a deep, slow breath. Beneath her hands... Yep, Sam, here we go. Beneath her hands, she feels Natsuki's shoulders rise as Natsuki takes a breath of her own, trying to mimic Yuri. They exhale together, although Natsuki's breath shakes on the way out. That's good. Let's keep going. Yuri breathes in once more, and Natsuki joins her. They continue like that for a few more cycles, while Yuri closely monitors. Eventually, Yuri feels Natsuki rest more of her weight into Yuri's palms. Let's focus on the physical world. All you have to do is focus on the feeling of your breaths going in and out, and the weight of my hands on your shoulders. You're in a safe and comfortable physical space. Minutes pass in silence. By now the worst of it has passed, but Yuri is determined to not move away until Natsuki prompts her to. Meanwhile, Natsuki has lifted her head off her knees and her breathing has mostly steadied. Then she takes a final deep breath and slowly pulls herself to her feet, causing Yuri to let go. She stretches her arms. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to freak out. I don't know what my deal is. You don't have to apologize. This must be enormously stressful for you. Is that going to keep happening? It may or it may not. We can take measures to help prevent it in the future, but I think it will naturally get better over time. Natsuki motions to sit back down again, so Yuri moves over. Yuri turns away to pick up her open book from the dusty floor, which she had hastily set down earlier. She brushes the dust off the cover. I don't think I could have gotten through that alone. You're not alone. Feeling shy again, Yuri speaks into her own lap. From now on, you don't have to do anything alone. As she says that, Yuri tenses up. It's rare for her to so openly share her thoughts, but something about Natsuki of all people makes it feel so much more natural to do so. Again with the romantic undertones. Perhaps because, like Yuri, Natsuki is so timid and uncertain of herself. Natsuki does a good job at hiding it, that it's taken a long time for Yuri to finally realize it, and because of that, Yuri is able to deliver the reassurance that she herself would have wanted, demonstrating that you deserve the love of others. If you can accept that for the first time, then perhaps you can begin the tumultuous journey of learning to love yourself. There we are! Do you really mean that? You're probably going to regret saying that if you do. How so? Because I'm probably going to have a lot of free time during the weekends from now on. So you're giving me permission to be as annoying as I want to drag you around to a lot of places. Oh, don't go down that route. I've been down that route before where I had an acquaintance who was just way, way, way too dependent on me and one other guy to just be available to spend time with him 24/7. And it was just like, you know, he considered it just like the worst betrayal ever if you said no. Like, you know, he would cold shoulder you and it would just get really annoying. So man, Natsuki, do not go down that route. You can call her and take her places within moderation. Because the other guy that I'm talking about, he and I mutually agreed that, yeah, the dude just wants to hang out way too much, and he has too much of a reaction if you say, no, sorry man, I got other stuff to do. So don't turn into that, Natsuki. I see, but you already said it, so you can't take it back now. Well, I suppose I have no choice but to accept that responsibility then. Mm-hmm. I know a good ice cream place. Oh? That means you'll finally figure out my favorite ice cream flavor. Huh? What are you talking about? Oh, don't you remember? The first day you came to the club, you guessed everyone's favorite ice cream flavor, but for me, you said you had no idea. Seriously? I don't remember that at all. Oh wait, yes I do. I said it was probably green tea. Yuri shakes her head. It's a good guess, but my favorite is usually to get chocolate and raspberry together. That's a good flavor. Chocolate and raspberry? How fancy. How is that fancy? Oh, I don't know. I feel like I should have guessed something like that. Well, maybe next time I'll try chocolate and strawberry. Hey, strawberry is my favorite. What a coincidence. I think it helps to have something to look forward to. I still have the sick feeling in my stomach, but it's easier now to convince myself that I did the right thing. Is there anything better I could be doing? Not that I know of. There's nothing that will make this easy for me. And you already did more than I thought anyone could. Come to think of it, we've never talked about the letter you wrote. But I feel like we're way past it. Past that at this point. I don't even know what to talk about. Except that I think it helps me understand my needs a little bit better. The way I like to be treated. And the kind of friends I want to have. That's why I wanted to start coming here in the first place, even though I was so scared of causing more problems. I thought it was a coincidence that you ran into me here initially. Oh, well, not exactly. What do you mean? Nothing. I may have tracked you down first, with the help of Sayori. But you said I was shy, okay? I wasn't ready to, like... Whatever, you know what I'm saying. Well, I guess I'm glad you worked up the courage, even if it was in your own way. I can tell that you've been making a lot of difficult decisions. It's brave, and it will make things better in the long run. I think anyone would be proud of you for it. Anyone? You mean, like you? Yes. Like me. You know, I could get used to this. As long as you don't tease me too much. Fine. Just a little then. That's fine. I like how uncertain everything feels to you right now. Wait, I know how uncertain everything feels to you right now, but I really do think that good things are in store. Those are my honest feelings. Thanks. It feels nice to be reassured. The two girls continued their conversation through the remainder of lunch, but a new feeling hangs in the air, a feeling of greater certainty in their path forward. In just a few hours, there'll be another literature club meeting where the 4 club members will happily spend time together. Each of them, all with their own special qualities, have something unique that they can deliver to one another. Through friendship and literature, the club members will continue to grow and find new happiness together. The end of each chapter is the start of the next, Yuri thinks to herself. Since she is about to finish her long-running series, it would be best to have a new book lined up. Perhaps this weekend would be a good time to visit the bookstore together. And there we go. The end of the final one. Let's take a look at the pictures. Anything new? Here we go. Got the Natsuki Yuri picture. Anything new down here? No. Email? No. Side stories. Equals. Okay, so there is another one here. Caesar's girlfriend when Natsuki and Yuri are sitting next to each other. Are they lesbian? Well, that one, I don't know. That one was a little less, suggestive. Like, come on. Look at this. She's got her legs around her legs. She's wrapping her arms around her. I mean, this is definitely a little bit more intimate than the picture with Yuri and Natsuki. So, I don't know. I don't think she would look at this picture and say, oh, they must be lesbians. But this one, yeah. I mean, you can definitely see why anybody would look at this and say, oh, yeah, those two are gay. Those two are a gay couple. Anyway, so now it appears we have another side story. And to be honest, let's see how far we're at. 87% now, huh? How long have we been going for? Let's see, I started at 8. It is now 10:15. Let's see. If we're at 87%, that probably means that there's more than just this one side story left. So, I'm thinking maybe now would be a good place to end it. And then we can do this side story and whatever else comes after this side story. Because if we're only at 87%, then this can't be the last thing. The rest is collecting stuff? What else would there be to collect, though? Because I feel like I did everything in the story. I mean, yeah, I guess I would have to replay part 2 over and over and over again to get the special poems. And figure out how to get these promos. But in order to get those things and see the ending of the game, I would still need more time to do all the boring stuff, like play Act 2 over and over and over again, so that I can unlock those poems to get the 100%. So, I still think maybe we should stop it here for today. And then I'll work a little bit more on the boring stuff of just, repeating until I unlock everything that I can unlock. And then tomorrow we can see if we can find the ending or see the ending to this game. So we're going to stop here, folks. We've been going for nearly 2.5 hours, so it's a pretty good spot anyway. Thank you guys for watching. Before I end it, one thing that I have not done in the past 2 streams. The next stream will probably be tomorrow, same time. Let's see. I will... How much is in the chest? We have 5.7. Alright, I'll go ahead and click the treasure chest to distribute the rewards on DLive. So if you want to get yourself some... whoa, what is this? says trust rewards will distribute in 29,461 seconds. I hope that's not accurate. Well, I'm not going to wait 30,000 seconds for this thing to open. So, alright, I guess we'll just end it then. So yeah, guys, we'll be back tomorrow, same time. Thank you guys for watching, as I said. And with that, tomorrow we're going to see if we can see the end of this game. And until then, I'm Caesar Madrazo, and I am out.